Big week, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting game that we have tonight with the Packers versus Raiders. You have no Aaron Jones in this contest. And initially, what you think is, oh, no Aaron Jones. I guess that means we are all aboard the A.J. Dillon hype train. And trust me, that's where I've been, in previous games that you've had no Aaron Jones this year. And I want to let you know that it's not a hype train that you want to participate on. That is not something that you want anything to do with. So that's why if you honestly look at one of my favorite pick'ems for today on Underdog, I learned from experience, A.J. Dillon probably ain't scoring a touchdown here, ladies and gentlemen. Probably going A.J. Dillon for fewer than half a total touchdown. Some other updates that we have, Deontay Johnson targeting a return in week 7, which is really nice to see. Dalton Kincaid will be in concussion protocol. Not great. Maybe he is a Dawson Knox week. Who knows? You have Tony Jones Jr. claimed off waivers by the Cardinals. So maybe that scares you a little bit more whenever you're looking at what we have specifically with James Conner. Kelsey was not in practice. Patrick Taylor elevated to the roster today, obviously with no Aaron Jones. Devon Achane's status for week 6, quote unquote, to be determined. He suffered a knee injury in week 5, then returned to the game after. McDaniels said he didn't want to speculate on a timetable when asked if this injury was season ending. So very, very scary stuff with Devon Achane. One of the most exciting running backs that we've had in the NFL so far. I actually tweeted it out this morning, but if you look at Devon Achane, so a running back that could have 25 carries for a total of 0 yards in the next few games, and even with 25 carries and 0 total yards, he would still be leading the NFL in yards per carry. It is obnoxious. He has been ridiculous, and I think you should be very excited about him. And of course, what I'm very excited about is my birthday tomorrow, so if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, get a 100% deposit match up to $100, plus our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And we actually got y'all hooked up with 2 things this week on Underdog. One, y'all already know, everybody's going to get a Justin Herbert special pick'em, regardless of if you signed up to code FLOCK 3 years ago with promo code FLOCK, 2 years ago with code FLOCK, last year with code FLOCK, yesterday with code FLOCK, today with code FLOCK, or tomorrow with code FLOCK. Everybody's going to get that on Monday night. But if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, you're going to get an additional special pick'em with promo code FLOCK as well. If you sign up before tonight's game, you'll be getting a Jordan Love more than less than half a total yard. Or after the game, you'll be getting a Patrick Mahomes more than less than half a total yard. But regardless, we got it all hooked up with 2 special pick'ems this week. Could not be more excited. Make sure you take advantage. Link in the live chat, link in the description. And Bryson coming out says, Swift Pickens for Pollard and Devonta Smith. Now, I did not include Devonta Smith in our panicking video because I thought people would honestly figure out, no, you do not panic regarding what Devonta Smith has done. If you are looking at Smith, this is a wide receiver that started off very hot. And if y'all remember back going into week 3, people were panicking about A.J. Brown, and it was the clearest thing you ever saw. It's like, oh, okay. Well, when these top wide receivers are in the same offense, you're going to see some spikes for Smith, some spikes for Brown. And in reality, it's all going to even out at the end of the day. And you want both these players. And you want to start them every chance we get. Well, yeah, the spikes have been for Brown as of late. But it's going to go right back to Smith. It's going to go back and forth. Clearly, A.J. Brown's the wide receiver 1 here. But Devonta Smith should still be great in fantasy. So, yeah, I'd rather a Pollard over Swift as well. I'm going to go with Tony Pollard and Devonta Smith. I'm honestly surprised to see people worried so much about Smith. I think it's a clear buy low moment. Remy says, hey, just joined Underdog with code FLOCK. Made a bet this morning with Aaron Jones in my parlay. Is there a way to cancel or did I screw myself? Yeah, so if you took Aaron Jones in a pick'em, what's going to happen is that's just going to end up being voided. So it depends on if you have, say, Aaron Jones, Jordan Love, and Devontae Adams, right? Where 2 players are still valid, and you set up a 6x pick'em on Underdog Fantasy. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, then that's going to slide down to only a 3x, and they're going to be taking Aaron Jones out of it, and it will just be Jordan Love, Devontae Adams. However, if it now makes the pick'em slip invalid in terms of you don't have 2 different players from 2 separate teams, say if it was just Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, and now the only thing that's left is Devontae Adams in that picket slip, then you're just going to get refunded, my friend. But yeah, it's just going to change your odds. And you don't have to worry like, oh, I said Aaron Jones going to have more than 56.5 rushing yards. It means I automatically lose. No, that's not the case, of course, my friend. Now, see how it says, I was offered Etienne Judy for Olave and Zach Moss. Etienne over Olave. Give me Moss over Judy. My other running back and wide receivers are Ridley, Amon-Ra, Thielen, Palmer, Eckler, Hall, Gus, and Jaleel. Should I make the deal? I would love to hear what y'all have to say in the live chat. What side are you going to go on? Y'all know I've really liked Travis Etienne all season. He's been a buy low running back for us pretty much every single week. Would you rather have Travis Etienne and Jerry Jeudy or Chris Olave and Zach Moss? Please let me know in the live chat what direction you're going to be going in, ladies and gentlemen. Super interested to hear that. Marcus says, happy birthday, Mace Dog. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, a birthday is technically tomorrow, but still, if you would want to drop a like for us today, not going to fault you at all for it. If you want to go sign up for Underdog today and give us a little birthday present early, not going to fault you for it. Etienne, Olave, Etienne. Okay, thank God. Looks like I'm allowed to go with the Travis Etienne side. I still expect Jonathan Taylor to be the starting running back in Indy going forward. I think there are probably 42 million reasons why Jonathan Taylor will be that starting RB. Joey says, should we trade Kareem Hunt for Jeff Wilson Jr.? Not going to fault you for it, right? If Devon Achane possibly is missing a considerable amount of time and we get reports saying Jeff Wilson Jr. will be back, then at that point you can. I'd rather have some reports. Did we get anything with Jeff Wilson Jr. today? I didn't see anything, but let me know in the live chat if we did. Jacob says 21 from Dylan. I go 4-1, please God. All right, my man. Coming from someone who played A.J. Dillon back-to-back weeks with no Aaron Jones earlier in this season, I'll tell you one thing. You're probably not getting 21 from A.J. Dillon. Now, of course, wishing you the best of luck. I hope he gets it for you. But I don't know. My faith with Dillon is kind of struggling right now. But Connor says, happy BR. We have Fields, Stroud, Lamb, DJ Watson, Palmer, Etienne, Ramondre, Sanders, Roshan, Kelsey. What do we have running back? Can't start Sanders or Ramondre. Who do we trade for? So the issue is, what value do we have? If you could send, say, CJ Stroud and Miles Sanders and go get to a running back like Rachaad White, that makes a lot of sense if you're planning on starting Fields every single week going forward. The wide receivers, we're probably going to be looking to hold for the time being, but yeah, if you wanted to go through and make that kind of trade, if possible, you can. In reality, you may be kind of saved because Roshan looks like he could be the guy if you have, Khalil Herbert missing a decent amount of time, of course. Now, Anthony says, Saquon for Olave and Kyren Williams in a full PBR 10-team league. Based off how bad the Giants' offense is, I'm not going to fault you at all if you want to go Olave and Kyren. You have the New York Giants as 14-point dogs against Buffalo this week. I think some of it has to do with the Daniel. That trade kind of does come down to, do you think the Giants could turn it around? Do you think Daniel Jones is healthy? Now, Alm Sixtol coming out saying 8-team Happy BR 3-2 single flex. We have Allen, CMC, Kyren, Adams, Lamb, Pacheco. Should we trade CeeDee Lamb and Pacheco for Mixon and Ridley, or do we need more? Going from Lamb to Ridley is a slight downgrade. Going from Pacheco to Mixon is a slight upgrade. So I think it's a very fair deal, to be honest with you. I still do see CeeDee Lamb as the best player in the trade, which typically that's going to be the side we go on if it's an 8-team league. But not going to fault you in the slightest if you're worried about how bad CeeDee Lamb has been and if you want to make that deal. Ernest says traded Kamara and Downs for Pollard and Dell. I definitely think that's a W. I think the wide receivers don't matter, and I'd rather have Pollard over Kamara. John says, Baba, sorry, go. Let me translate. Standard full BBR 1 flex. We have Bijan and Etienne. We have Walker in the flex. Should we trade Walker for Keenan? I'm not going to fault you at all with the Mike Williams injury. If you wanted to go out there and send Kenneth Walker as your RB3 for Keenan Allen, I think that does make a considerable amount of sense. Brandon says offered Mahomes, James Cook for Tua and David Montgomery. Very close non-BBR format. You're probably going to hold on to David Montgomery, full BBR league. If you wanted to pivot to Mahomes, not going to fault you for it. We talked about this in the Panic video with Jahmyr Gibbs, but if we just come to terms with the fact that the Detroit Lions are an elite level team, or I don't want to say an elite level team, but a very, very good team with an elite level offense, most weeks will be David Montgomery weeks. Most weeks you will not be getting much from Jahmyr Gibbs. So maybe you want to hold on to Montgomery. I think it's a very fair trade. Now, Duran says, full BBR, we have Burrow, Diggs, Puka, Jacobs, Moss, Andrews, Flowers. And then on the bench, you have Stafford, T, Deontay. Need a running back. Got offered Brees for Puka. Scared to give up Puka. What are your thoughts? Brees owner needs a wide receiver and a quarterback. Who should we offer? Happy birthday. Thank you, my friend. So with Deontay Johnson, I mean, this is a wide receiver that looked good playing alongside Cooper Kupp. Kupp's first week back in. But if we look at our other wide receivers, who would we rather have? Would we rather have Diggs or Puka? Diggs by a mile. Puka versus Flowers, probably Puka. If you could go through, if you could trade, say, like Zay Flowers and Matthew Stafford, or hell, say Zay Flowers and Joe Burrow, if we have Lamar Jackson, if we can get to Brees Hall that way, not going to fault you at all for it. If you wanted to sell Puka for Brees Hall, though, I think you could if you wanted to. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have Puka or Brees Hall? And as we wait for your response there, we will answer another question. Jay Magnum says, 2-3 10-team at BBR traded Achane and Moss for Bijan. Phenomenal deal. Team is now Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Higgins, Hollywood, Bijan, Jacobs, Walker, Kelsey. Face Chase and DJ this week. Thank you. No, thank you, my man. Yeah, if you face Chase and DJ, it's not your fault that you lost. I mean, if we were doing anything going forward, you just play better defense. But no, I mean, great trade. Getting out of Achane if you have to potentially worry about what you have with the knee injury, and at the same time, I mean, getting something from Zach Moss before you have JT expanding his role. But we got Puka, Hall, Puka, Hall, Puka, Hall. Looks like most people would rather have Puka over Brees Hall, which I'm a little bit surprised to hear. Joey says 3-2, looking like 3-3. We have Najee, Jaleel, Dylan, Ford, Hunt, Jefferson, Thomas, Wandale, Palmer, Deontay. Should I trade Jefferson for Keenan Allen and David Montgomery in a full PPR format? 99% of the time, I would say no, keep the best player, keep Justin Jefferson. If it was ever going to make sense to go out there and make a move like this, it would probably make sense on this team where we need help with both running back and wide receiver, where it's not like we're so far ahead of the rest of the field where we can say, okay, I'm going to lose this week and then we'll play it for the long term. You are in a very tough spot here, my man. I think obviously a lot comes down to what we have with the exact Justin Jefferson hamstring injury. I would say in a vacuum, give me Justin Jefferson, but considering your team context, unless, I think we can make it. Obviously, a lot has to depend on how much time Jefferson misses. Robert says, should we start Joshua Palmer or Zay Jones week 6? We're going to go Joshua Palmer. Go Bills, says happy early birthday. Thank you, my man. Favorite captain tonight in Showdown. I haven't looked at salaries at all. Obviously, in Showdown, it's more so about trying to go through and create a little bit of a unique team. I haven't looked at any sims. I'm not the guy to ask. I'm an idiot. If we were looking at someone that could possibly, I always just try to go a little contrarian. If you wanted to say, okay, well, let's go A.J. Dillon and see if the rest of the field is worried about A.J. Dillon being a bum as he has been over the past 2 weeks, maybe you could try it, but there'd be 1,000 people that you could ask that question to that would give you a much, much better answer than I could. I'm just pulling something out of my butt and guessing here, my man. KC coming out to say, man, love your content. Thank you, my dude. Question, should I be trying to trade if we're 3-2? We have Tua, H.N. Taylor, Cook, Olave, Lamb, Laporta. And then on the bench, we have Godwin, Higgins, Charbonnet. Nope, I think we're in a great spot. Obviously, a lot of this has to come down to what are we going to be getting? What's the expectation with the Devon Achane injury? If Achane is good to go, I don't necessarily think you need to panic in the slightest, and we should be in a very comfortable position. Now, with that being said, even if he does miss, we have Taylor coming back where we can rely upon Taylor. Long term, maybe we can make a trade if you really wanted to make a 2-for-1 deal and upgrade over like James Cook in the starting lineup for the flex. But short term, we're going to be waiting to see the availability of Achane with his injury and also with Higgins coming back. Now, Spider Fry says, we lost Jefferson, Achane, and Connor. Help, it's an 8-team league. I don't know exactly how to help, my man. I did put out a waiver wire video earlier today. I don't know. I mean, it's not even like Achane's ruled out for this next week, right? So it's very difficult for me to come out here and say exactly what's going to happen. Very difficult for me to say what we should be looking to do just because we have no idea what this timeline looks like. Now, Ricardo coming out says 12-team at BBR format where we have Burrow, JT, Kyron, Ayuk, Chase, Kittle, Zay. And then on the bench, we have Stroud, Roshan, Damian Pierce, Tajee, Rasheed, and Kmet. Any moves and any package upgrade, Kyron or the Ayuk slot could move Zay as well. Happy pre-birthday. Appreciate you, my friend. I mean, if we are looking at this bench in terms of players that are tradable, that we could actually get some value for. You could get some value for Damian Pierce, but in reality, I think we probably want to be holding on to Pierce with the Texans offensive line getting a little bit healthier, and with him seeing a larger role, I don't think you're going to get a ton for him in trade. I know this is going to be like one of the, you're not going to get a ton, and it's a very boring answer. If you wanted to send like Brandon Ayuk and Cole Kmet to a team that possibly needed a tight end, like to see if you could pivot over to somehow get to like CeeDee Lamb, that could potentially make sense. But overall, I think you have a very well-balanced roster, and I don't think we have a ton of value down there on the bench where we can make plays. Ferris says 12-team BBR 3 and 2. We have Lawrence, Etienne, JT, Amon-Ra, Watson, Thielen, Addison, Pierce, Warren, Stroud. Got offered Thielen, Pierce, Addison for Amari, Palmer, Mostert. Going from Mostert to Pierce, probably a downgrade, especially with the Achane injury. Going from Palmer to Thielen is an upgrade. Going from Amari to Addison, probably a downgrade in the long term. Short term, it's a lateral move with the Justin Jefferson injury. So to be honest with you, I probably would prefer Amari, Palmer, and Mostert, considering the Devon Achane injury and how that would change the expectations for Mostert going forward. Now, Joe says, Yo Mason, in a 12-team PPR format, I'm 5-0. Thinking of trading Brees and Puka for A.J. Brown. I'm assuming that's what you meant. Running backs are Eckler, Swift, Brees, Spears, Kupp, DJ, Puka, McLaurin. We have Jalen Hurts. I like the idea of going through and stacking up Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. I like the idea on a loaded team where we are 5-0 of going through and just getting that upgrade in the starting lineup and just worrying about our long-term upside. However, with that being said, I do think that you're probably giving up too much. And if we are selling the combo of Brees and Puka, we probably want a little bit more. Now, Trevor says 1-4, 12-team full PBR format. We have Herbert, Ramondre, Brees, Jefferson, Chase, Amon-Ra, Pitts. And then on the bench, we have Kirk, Sanders, and Jaleel. What move? I mean, the move is to go back in a time machine and to see what we could get for Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously, Ramondre is the big reason why this team is 1-4. Now, realistically, what we can do going forward, we're going to wait until we get news regarding Justin Jefferson. If it looks like it'll be a multi-week injury for Justin Jefferson, what we may end up needing to do is we may end up needing to take Jefferson and go out there and trade him for a wide receiver that's maybe a little bit less exciting in the long term, but it's going to give us production in the short term. Like if you could go Jefferson and a bench piece like Miles Sanders and go get to Christian Kirk on a 1-4 team, I think that would make sense. Now, Daniel says, rank these running backs rest of season in the half PPR format. Kamara, Achane, Kyron, Mixon. Also, is Puka, Evans, and Etienne too much to give up for? A.J. Brown, thanks, Ford 1, 10-team league. Appreciate you, my friend. When we're looking at these running backs, I'm not going to rank Achane just because we don't know the extent of his injury. We're going to go Kyron, Kamara, Mixon. I can't rank Achane right now. If he is 100% healthy, he's probably top guy. And then trading Etienne, Evans, and Puka for A.J. Brown is a considerable amount. I think you probably are giving him a tad too much value here. If it was like a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I understand the thought process, but maybe giving up too much. Miles coming out saying, PBR for the flex. We have Fields, Walker, Etienne, Roshan, Jaleel, Wilson, Jefferson, Metcalf, Myers, Dobbs, Rice, JSN, Atwell, Hawkinson. How should I look to upgrade my flex spot? So, I mean, if you are looking at this team, we honestly can't. I hate to say it, my friend. I mean, I wish we could come out and go, oh, yeah, it's easy. Go trade Romeo Dobbs and Jacoby Myers. Go get a stud receiver like Devonta Smith. You'd always try to do that. In reality, you're probably not going to be able to. In terms of the depth that we have on this team, we are very limited. We don't have a ton of depth, especially with the Justin Jefferson injury. I think you're more so in a position where we're not prioritizing upgrading our flex at the moment. We're more so prioritizing just staying alive and overcoming this Justin Jefferson injury And then maybe we can revisit upgrading our flex spot once we have Jefferson fully good to go. David says we have Purdy, Chase, Brown, Puka, JT, Montgomery, Jones, Lockett, Goddard, Palmer, and more. Anyone I could trade for Breece, I'm 1 in 3.5 PPR format. So we had Breece Hall as a buy low running back last week. And with Breece Hall, I'm very sorry. Now is the worst time to go through and try to buy him. Like, realistically speaking, Breece just went out there in a game that everybody watched, a game that the Jets actually won, a game where the Jets scored over 30 points against the worst defense in the NFL, had a blow up. I'm hearing people talk about Breece Hall as a top 5 running back rest of season. I don't think he's close. I don't think he's a top 5 running back. Maybe in terms of talent, but I still think that this Jets offense is very bad. I think that they've played some very easy matchups, such as the Denver Broncos. So I hate to say it. I think you've missed the boat on buying Breece Hall. Jackie says trade Gibbs and Pickens for Hollywood. I'd rather have Gibbs and Pickens. I think Pickens and Hollywood are the same. I mean, giving up Gibbs, you're not getting anything in return there. The real Unix is 4-1. I could trade Brian Robinson for Stevenson and take the risk and upside. How many would you make in a season? Hype for the game in Germany. Well, hope that you're going, my man. If it's a full BBR format, sure, go trade Brian Robinson for Ramondre Stevenson. Non-BBR league, it'd be very difficult to do it, but even in a full BBR format, it's not like Ramondre was the guy he was a year ago. You're still not getting a ton of receiving volume. He's still very limited in that fashion there. So you can do it if you want. I just don't want to act like it's some massive, massive dub. Thomas says PBR, St. Brown and James Cook for Eckler and George Pickens. Amon-Ra St. Brown to Austin Eckler. Give me Austin Eckler. James Cook to George Pickens. Give me James Cook, but it's close. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Austin Eckler and Pickens. I didn't love Eckler coming into the season, given the age and the injury risk. But with that being said, now that you have no Mike Williams in here and Austin Eckler coming back in, I mean, you have Austin Eckler probably seeing a very nice role as a receiver in this offense. But ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 likes away from hitting 200 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. Tomorrow's my birthday, and of course, we'll be live streaming on it. And if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the description, in the live chat, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match. Plus, you're going to get our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. Plus, you'll be getting a Jordan Love special pick'em for tonight's game. More than less than half a total yard if you are new to Underdog Fantasy. And if you use promo code FLOCK, doesn't matter if you're new to Underdog, doesn't matter if you've been on Underdog for 3 years. As long as you use code FLOCK when you signed up, you're also going to get a Justin Herbert special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. Super pumped that we are able to get you all that. So please make sure you take advantage, ladies and gentlemen. That would be the best birthday present you could give me as well. Now, going over to our next question, coming out from Remy, who says, Sup Mason, 8-team, 3-2. We have Hurts, Chase, Smith, Pollard, Kamara, Hawkinson, Swift. And then on the bench, we have Moore, Henry, Aaron Jones, Ingram. The team with Jefferson's 0-5. Ooh, I love the idea of pairing him with Chase. 8-team league. Go attack the 0-5 roster. Send him DJ Moore. Send him Alvin Kamara. If it's an 8-team format, and you could go through and send like DJ Moore and Alvin Kamara, or DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift, or DJ Moore and Aaron Jones, and just assume he's not going to want Aaron Jones. But essentially send him one of those wide receivers on your bench with a running back to get him some production right now. And we take on the long-term upside of Justin Jefferson. Love that idea and love that move, my man. Now, Cole coming out says, I'm going to be 3-2. It's a 12-team full BBR format. We have Mahomes, Walker, Montgomery, Spears, Kelly, Jaleel, Jefferson, Olave, Watson, Addison, JSN, Jameson, Henry, and Njoku at tight end. Any trades that we should look to make? So, I mean, I would say that this is a team that has enough depth at the wide receiver position where possibly we could go through and make a move and upgrade tight end where we could actually probably afford it. However, now with the Justin Jefferson injury, that will not be the case. Now with the Justin Jefferson injury, if he misses any time, probably not to keep this team as is, and more so just hunt for the long-term upside, I mean, with making waiver wire moves, and not necessarily any trade selling wide receiver depth right now. Now is going to be holding on to our wide receiver depth. We're already strong at running back. We already have the elite level QB as well. And Gleek Monger says, should I trade HN and Hopkins for CeeDee Lamb and Zay? It's a 12-team PPR format where we have Mahomes, Kelsey, Etienne, Jacobs, James Cook, Hopkins, Waddle, Brees, JT, and Rice. So you are getting JT back in. It depends on the injury. I think most people would rather have a healthy Devon Achane and DeAndre Hopkins over Lamb. If that's Zay Flowers, you probably go Lamb and Zay Flowers. But the issue is Achane could be missing a considerable amount of time. It's not even ruled out that he's missing the rest of the season. So it's very difficult to know if we should be making this move. I don't even want to give you an answer right now. Obviously, it comes down to how worried are you about Devon Achane. It's a fair price point if you are worried and you want to get out. Larkin says, have BBR 12-team league. We have Jalen Hurts, Brian Robinson, Montgomery, Kupp, Olave, Andrews, and then the flex, Ridley. On the bench, we have Sanders, Hunt, Palmer, JSN. I want to trade Brian Robinson. What should we look to get? What can we get, you know? If you want to send Brian Robinson and you want to go get like James Cook coming off a game where he had like -4 rushing yards, and sure, go for it. If you wanted to send him for Rachaad White, just knowing that he's going to have a slightly larger role as a receiver, then go for it. But in reality, it's just much easier said than done, where I don't know if anybody's excited to go through and trade for Brian Robinson with how bad the offense looks. And he has a safe workload. So honestly, I kind of think maybe he's even a little bit undervalued as is. But Miguel says, trade Garrett Wilson for Burrow. I just lost Anthony Richardson. If we knew Burrow was at 100%, I would say yes. I do not know if Burrow is at 100%, however. Jose says, 10-team BBR, where we have Herbert, Richardson, Jefferson, DJ, Olave, Watson, Puka, Etienne, JT, Walker, Achane, Javonte, Logan Thomas. Currently 1-4, any moves. If you're 1-4, but we have that wide receiver production right now, I think what we may end up needing to do is I think we may end up having to go ahead and sell Justin Jefferson. Obviously, we're not selling Justin Jefferson for pennies on the dollar. Justin Jefferson could still easily be the number one player rest of season. But if you are looking at what we have, if he's going to miss some time, even if it's a game, even if it's 2 games, I won my first fantasy football championship coming back from 1-4. 1-5 is a little bit of a different beast, however. If you wanted to go through and see if you could send like Justin Jefferson and Logan Thomas and go get Travis Kelce and not worry about the injury, that is a possibility of what you could do. But I would want some clarity on Jefferson before we make that deal. Because if you make it and then he doesn't miss any time, then obviously we're getting crushed. Sleep Deprived says, 10-team at BBR 5-0. Should I still try to trade Mark Andrews and Nico for Diggs with my tight end 1 being Kelce? Or really try to push Kelce for Diggs since he's injured? I would rather trade Andrews and Nico for Stephon Diggs. I mean, Travis Kelce played this past week. I mean, it looks like, at least from what I've seen with like the Twitter doctors, not a super big injury with Kelce. Should be good to go. Jonathan says 0-5 somehow. Normal settings. We have Bijan, Etienne, Kyron, Achane, Hall. Lamb, Collins, Ridley, Ayuk, Kittle, Hurts. What the hell? Is this like an 8-team league? A 6-team league? I would have no idea how this team is 0-5. The only thing I'd say is, especially like when you fell to 0-4, you probably should have made this move then, my man. But you need to go ahead and you need to package together 2 pieces with upside down there on that bench and just get production in your lineup right now. Go ahead and trade like Nico Collins and Breece Hall and go get a round 1 wide receiver. You know, get points in your lineup ASAP and don't hold on to long-term upside. If you're 0-5 especially, you are essentially in the fantasy football playoffs as of today. As of today, my friend. Zuar says traded Gibbs for Anthony Richardson this week. Not going to fault you for it. I mean, obviously, you have the injury, but before the injury, probably a good move. We got offered Purdy, Addison, Pacheco for Eckler. Cannot do this. Also, what to do is Stevenson. I mean, full BBR format, Stevenson. You're going to look at him on your roster. You're going to shed a tier, and you're going to bench him. You're not going to sell him for anything. You're not going to get anything. You can't sell Austin Eckler for that package. If you want to sell Eckler for Addison, Pacheco, and Mahomes, then sure, do it. But yeah, I mean, Purdy looks great. He's not an elite level player in fantasy just because the fact that this is someone that doesn't have to throw the ball very often with how good this defense is. I don't mind the idea of trading for a quarterback, but if you're sending an elite player, we expect an elite quarterback in return. Now, Ferris says Addison or Christian Watson rest of season. Any week that Justin Jefferson does not play, I will have Jordan Addison ranked ahead of Christian Watson. Any week that Jefferson does not play, I want Addison. Cora says PBR 2 receivers in a flex. Trade Addison and Brian Robinson for Olave. Probably not, because Addison and Olave will probably be very close for me in my rankings this week if we have no Jefferson. DLI says, do you think Jefferson is out for more than a month? I do not think so, but I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows at this point, to be realistic with you. Michael says 2 and 3, PBR, 10-team single flex league. We have Tua, Pollard, Achane, Barkley, Chase, Smith, Kirk, Ferguson. We want an elite wide receiver. Looking to get Pollard. You can't. I know y'all are so pissed at me, right? I know I'm giving the worst answers and the most boring answers, but and this is why I get a lot of hate as well, especially on Twitter. On YouTube, it's not as bad, but I'm never going to go through and say, oh yeah, hey guys, today's a good day to sell Tony Pollard. The Dallas Cowboys lost 10-42 last night against the 49ers with the entire country watching, and the Cowboys look like the worst offense in the NFL going up against the best defense in the NFL. Let's try to sell Tony Pollard now. Oh, Devonta Smith hasn't done anything for a few weeks. Let's go send Devonta Smith with him. Let's go get a better wide receiver. You can't, my man. We can assume that these players turn it around. I think if a strong team as is, the last thing I want to be doing, especially with the Barkley injury, especially with the Achane injury, is to go through and trade away our one healthy running back at the moment for another wide receiver because Devonta Smith has had a couple down weeks. I'm sorry. I know it would be much better if I just go, oh, yeah, great idea. Let's sell Tony Pollard. Let's go out there, go get A.J. Brown. In reality, no, right? In reality, selling a player after he just embarrassed himself on national television, you're probably not going to get the price that is making him a compelling sell. Griffin says I traded Tua, Achane, Kittle, T, Dell, Rice, Jameson for Mahomes, Devontae, Pitts, Kamara. Tua to Mahomes, upgrade. Achane to Kamara, depends on the injury. Call it a lateral move for now. T. Higgins to Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams by a mile. Dell, Rice, Jameson to Pitts. Who the hell cares? Great deal. Way to go get Mahomes and Devontae. Way to go get the best player in the deal. Do I flip Pitts, Moss for Kelsey? Oh, Devontae, Pitts, and Moss. Up to you. We have Kupp and Amari. I think maybe you're taking it one step too far with that second deal. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are one like away from hitting 300 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We've live streamed every day since April, 164 days in a row. Live stream it every day until 2024. It is also our birthday tomorrow. And if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings. Plus, you're going to be getting a Jordan Love special pick'em for tonight, more than less than half a total yard going up against the Raiders. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you got two special pick'ems the same week. Justin Herbert, more than less than half a total yard on Monday night. Literally never happens. Make sure you take advantage. Would also be the best birthday gift you could give me. Promo code FLOCK on Underdog. Now, Shug says, 12-team at PBR, Cousins, Jones, Walker, Jefferson, Adams, Ertz, Amari. Any moves or do we sit tight? We're sitting tight for the time being, waiting to see what we have with Justin Jefferson. It is nice that we get Amari coming out of the bye next week where Deshaun Watson should be fully healthy, where we have him that we can rely upon. But yeah, we really need to see Jefferson being fine because if Jefferson's out, it hurts Cousins too, right? DLA says up 30.5 points. He has Jacobs. Do I win? I would probably put you at like an 85% favorite. 85% favorite. Russ says, should I sell Brees for Gibbs and Hollywood? Nope. You want Brees over Gibbs and Hollywood, especially in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. I mean, that's the exact kind of league where someone like Hollywood Brown, that depth wide receiver really doesn't matter. Brian says, traded Montgomery Ridley for Waddle Stroud. Need a quarterback. You should have gotten a better quarterback, to be honest with you, my man. Okay. Shifty says, need help with the trade, 10-team BBR. We have Fields, Pollard, Kamara, Tyreek, Waddle, Laporta, Madison. Should I accept Hurts and Keenan for Tyreek and Fields? I like the idea of going through and taking Justin Fields and a little bit of value and parlaying that into a player like Jalen Hurts. But to include Tyreek Hill, one of the best players in fantasy, arguably the wide receiver 1 right now in fantasy, to go get it done probably would be difficult to argue for. So I will take Tyreek and Justin Fields. Henry says, Herbert, Bijan, Mixon, Montgomery, Ramadre, AJ Wilson, JSN, Judy, Dobbs, Laporta, Algier, Warren. Thoughts on AJ Warren for Nico Pollard? Warren to Nico, give me Nico. AJ to Pollard, probably give me AJ. I like the idea. I think you're probably sitting on your hands here. It's nice that we get Herbert back. We have the long-term upside with someone like JSN. We have running back production as well with Mixon and Montgomery and Bijan. So because we have this running back production, I'll probably keep A.J. Brown for the time being. I think Pollard's probably a hold. Like, I still think Pollard's probably a top 5 to 10 running back rest of season. Like this week in our rankings, I mean, we have Tony Pollard a little bit lower. We have Pollard at RB5, but we still have Pollard at an aggressive point. But yeah, I think you probably want the A.J. Brown side. Ferris says, Amon-Ra for Montgomery and Ayuk, we need a running back. If it is a deeper format where it's like a multi-flex 12-team league or more, then probably yes. If it's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, probably no. Vader says, got offered Mixon for Brees. Do we accept? You are going to take Brees over Mixon there, my friend. Henry says, full BBR, start 2 flex, non-super flex, by the way. Yeah, I think we keep that as is. I think you probably want A.J. Brown, especially in a double flex. 2 of these says, Green Bay backup Wilson or Taylor tonight. Green Bay backup Wilson. What are we talking about here? Okay, so Emmanuel Wilson or Patrick Taylor. If you're looking at the volume so far, Patrick Taylor has had a whopping 9 carries this season. Emmanuel Wilson at 5. Wilson did come away with the rushing touchdown. Taylor's had 5 targets out of the backfield, comparison to Wilson at 1. Probably going to go Patrick Taylor a little bit more as a pass catcher if it's that full PPR format. I don't know, though, my man. I mean, I probably roll over and cry yourself to sleep if that's really what we're relying on. Victor says, hey, bro, what's up? Traded AJ and Higgins for Lamb and Olave. Also, Nico Sanders, Samaji for Achane and Pickens. I like the second deal if Achane is healthy. The first one, AJ Higgins for CD and Olave, I'm probably not a big fan of, considering that Burrow is looking better. And if we get Higgins back this next week, which is a possibility, or maybe the week after, and Joe Burrow is fully healthy, then I think Higgins could be real close to Olave. Miles says, trade Etienne for Hopkins and Kamara. We're 4-0 right now. I would rather have Etienne over Hopkins and Kamara. I mean, tough for me to go through and say DeAndre Hopkins is going to keep doing this rest of season. Still a very bad offense in Tennessee. I don't really think that has changed. Eric says, just traded Lawrence and Godwin for Lamar. Was this a good move? If it's a 4-point passing touchdown format where you're prioritizing rushing upside, completely fine with it. Tony says, 12-team double flex. Do I buy Aaron Jones low with Hunter Henry, Pierce, Madison, Jaleel, and or Mostert? Receivers are Diggs, Kupp, Evans, Jacoby, Tony. Should we sell high on a wide receiver? Evans was a sell high guy for us about 3 weeks back. That was when he had like a touchdown 75% of his games, yada, yada, yada. Or he had 75% of Baker Mayfield's touchdowns. But now Evans has had his value go down considerably. Going to be looking to hold on to the wide receivers. If Madison was a sell high guy for us a couple weeks ago, I would sell out of the players that you listed, any combination of those guys for Aaron Jones in a full PPR format, outside of Raheem Mostert may be a little bit of a tougher guy to go through and say to sell, just because if you have Devon Achane seriously injured, Mostert could crush. Brian says, Sup Mason, love the content. I have Henry. I know many are panicking, but the schedule after the bye looks king worthy. Sit tight or trade. The issue is, like with Derrick Henry, going back to what we were talking about previously, right? This is not the time to sell Derrick Henry. Yes, everybody is panicking. It's the same thing like, is now the time to sell Tony Pollard? No, if you wanted to sell Tony Pollard, should have done it a couple weeks ago. If we want to sell Henry, should have done it last week. So can't sell Henry right now. I mean, we went through and kind of talked about this in our panicking video where we were saying, okay, yeah, Derrick Henry, same thing that's happening that has happened all season. He's a running back that looks good when the Titans are leading and they're able to run the ball consistently in the second half. If the game gets out of hand, you're probably instead looking at a little more Tajay Spears. And yeah, we went through and we looked at that schedule, and it looks like you are going to be getting a little bit more Derrick Henry in terms of the Titans actually being able to win some of these games. Now, ZBR Attack says, any trade ideas, 3-2 standard scoring. We have Herbert, Saquon, Mixon, Keenan, Puka, Evan Ingram, Henry. And then on the bench, we have Cook, Judy, Sutton, Flowers, Pittman, Lawrence. Love the channel. Thank you, my friend. We do have a considerable amount of depth here, where if you wanted to go ahead, if you wanted to see if we could sell like Joe Mixon and Michael Pittman and go get to like an elite level RB, go get to someone that people are very much worried about, someone like Tony Pollard, I think that can make a lot of sense. But it's just because, I mean, down there on the bench, we're so loaded, right? We have James Cook, Judy, Sutton, Flowers, Pittman, Lawrence. So, I mean, we can afford to make one of those deals. Now, Guacho says 3-2 at BBR double flex. ET and Amari for Eckler and Dotson. Thank you. No, thank you. We will go with Eckler and Dotson. You know, I love me some Travis Etienne. Drafted a lot of Etienne, drafted a lot of Amari this year. But Eckler coming back with no Mike Williams in this offense should be in a really good spot. John says, you to go. Appreciate you. Panicking in a 12-team league, full BBR format. Standard roster, I get Jalen Hurts, James Cook, Rachaad White, Jefferson, Olave. The flex is Watson, Ingram, and then on the bench we have Palmer, Downs, Hunt, Hubbard, Moore, Charbonnet, Keaton Mitchell. What should we do? Don't have a ton of depth. It's a 12-team league. Depth matters a little bit more. If we are going to have Jefferson miss some time, then at that point we are sliding, say, Joshua Palmer. Assuming that's Rondale Moore down on the bench, we're going to be sliding Joshua Palmer into the starting lineup over Justin Jefferson. We do have these players that could take over in the second half and do provide us a little bit more long-term upside, which we really like to see. Now, with that being said, in terms of us going through and making any trades right now, it is very difficult, right? I mean, if you are 1-4, you're probably in a spot, or if you're 0-5, where you need to go through and you have no other option but to essentially just sell Justin Jefferson and get some points in the lineup right now. However, with that being said, the team looks good enough where we're not in that spot where we're 1-4. We're not in that spot when we're 0-5. I think we're probably much better off to just go ahead and sit on our hands if we are a winning team. Wait until we get Justin Jefferson back, and then at that point, we'll have a lot more flexibility. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 400 likes on the stream. If you have not done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It is my birthday tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to give me a birthday present, the best thing you can do is go take the fewer than half a total touchdown for AJ Dillon on Underdog. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $100. Plus, you get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. Plus, you get a Jordan Love special pick'em more than less than half a total yard for the game tonight. And we got everybody hooked up. Doesn't matter if you use promo code FLOCK today, tomorrow, yesterday, 2 years ago. Everybody will get a Justin Herbert special pick'em this week on Monday, more than less than half a total yard. Never happens where you get 2 special pick'ems the same week on Underdog, but super pumped we were able to get it for y'all. So make sure you take advantage. Lux says, happy early birthday, Mason. Thank you. 14-team BBR 3-1, down 17. We have Tua, Kenneth Walker, Jacobs, Adams, Ridley, Ayuk, Pitts, Chuba, Roshan, Kelly, Rivers, Godwin, Myers. Any moves we're looking to make here? So really, obviously, we're hoping that we get to start Devontae Adams, full BBR format. I think there's a good shot Adams gets us that 17 points, and we will be winning this week. 14-team league, I mean, depth is going to matter a little bit more than it otherwise would. So if it was like that 10-team league where you start 2 wide receivers and a flex, I would say let's go ahead and let's take like Chris Godwin and Kyle Pitts and let's go trade him for a marginal tight end upgrade. However, in reality, I think we're probably going to be keeping this team as is on a in a 14-team format. So, I mean, I do still think that Kyle Pitts is an interesting sell-high candidate if you look at the fact that you are still getting Jonnu Smith involved in this offense, which is very frustrating. But specifically with that team, I think we want to hold on to the wide receiver depth in a 14-team format. I mean, if we win and we go to 4-1, maybe if we can send like maybe Devontae Adams for Jefferson if he's only going to miss like 1 to 2 weeks, that could be interesting. Jacob says, I have CMC, Eckler, Achane as my running backs. Congrats. Oh my gosh. Smith, Ridley, Jacoby in a 14-team league. Should we trade Eckler or Achane for a round 1 wide receiver? Hell no. If you wanted to trade Achane for a round 1 wide receiver, I'm fine with it, but please be holding on to Austin Eckler at the minimum. And with Achane, like, good luck trading for a round 1 wide receiver. If you can go trade him for like Lamb, it probably does make sense with the knee injury. But a lot is up in the air right now with Achane's knee injury. We don't really know what to expect. Fabian says DJ Moore for DeAndre Swift. A very fair deal and very dependent on your overall team and format. I think most people would rather have DJ Moore, and I'm not going to blame him. Lil Man says 12-team PPR. We have Hurts, Saquon, Walker, Olave, Devonta, Waller, Swift. We also have JT, Moss, Thielen. Who should I start in any suggestions? Most weeks we're going to be starting Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Walker, either DeAndre Swift or JT. Olave, Devonta. The only thing I'd say is let's be very patient with these wide receivers. Obviously, we have a lot of running back upside. I don't want to start either Indy running back this next week. Let's go with our other locked-in guys where we know what the role is going to look like. The issue is if we go through and if we start one of those Indy guys this week, you just have no idea what you're reasonably going to expect. So I think we look to just stay still. Those wide receivers will be better. I mean, it's kind of crazy in my mind seeing people go through and panic about Devonta Smith. I know Smith hasn't been great over the past few weeks. He will get better, and it's just that natural volatility that you have at the wide receiver position. Some weeks will be a Smith week. Some weeks it's going to be an A.J. Brown week. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from, we got Magnolia joining the flock. Happy to have you. And Anthony says, love flowers for Rashad Whites. We have Fields, CMC, Ridley, but have been playing Moss. Yes, if you lost Dobbins, we have nothing at running back. Completely fine with us going ahead and making this move. It is a tough spot. Zay Flowers is dominating in Baltimore now. He had 11 targets this week. Now, Jeff says get offered Tyreek Hill, Miles Sanders, and JSN for Metcalf, Walker, and Devonta Smith. Walker to Sanders, downgrade. Smith to JSN, downgrade. Metcalf to Tyreek, massive upgrade. So, I mean, you're downgrading 2 spots, upgrade 1 spot. If it's like a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'd be fine if you wanted to do it. I'd be fine. Kingdom of Finance, happy to see you, my man. Says a 4-1 at BBR, 10-team league, single flex. We have Mahomes, Tyreek, DJ, Hollywood, Ridley, Bijan, Madison, Pierce, Ingram. Should we look to improve my RB2 by trading more? I would say that it would be an interesting spot in a league where maybe you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. But here in this league where we can start up to 3 wide receivers, I mean, clearly you're already crushing with this, my man. 4-1, we have, a spot where Alexander Madison isn't great. Alexander Madison was that sell-high guy for us previously, but if you are looking going forward, I think Madison can be a little bit better. And I'm sorry, I don't even want to say Madison can be better. Madison can go on our bench for all I care. So I think Dameon Pierce can actually step up a bit. He has been seeing the volume. The Texans offensive line's getting a little bit healthier. He's still been very inefficient, which is frustrating. But I think you can go ahead and you can just play Dameon Pierce for the time being and beat our league mates down at wide receiver in a league where we can start up to 4 of them every single week. Okay. Now, Gary coming out says, PBR single flex. We have Lawrence, Stroud, Jacobs, Etienne, Montgomery, Hill, Watson, Dobbs, Addison, Wilson, Nico, Goddard, Ferguson. Should we trade for a running back? I don't think so. Wait, why would we need to trade for an RB4, my man? I mean, depth's not going to matter in this format. I mean, you're going through and you're starting Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, and David Montgomery every single week. You're in a phenomenal spot. I mean, I am happy to see what we're getting from Goddard as well. I mean, I drafted Goddard in maybe in one too many leagues, and it is nice to see him at least doing something for us. Now, Sammy Sosa coming out saying, a 10-team PPR, where we have Fields, Brees, Achane, Chase, Amon-Ra, Puka, Hollywood, Watson, Ramondre, Javonte. Got offered Patrick Mahomes, Josh Jacobs for Fields, Achane, Hollywood. What do you think? Give me the Mahomes and Jacobs side. With the Achane injury, I don't know how it's going to shake out, but if you can go through it, if you can just get Josh Jacobs for him, you'd probably rather have Jacobs. Just off the off chance that Achane is seriously injured. And would I rather have Fields in Hollywood or Patrick Mahomes? Give me Patrick Mahomes. Tua says, I have Dillon and Jones. Who do I pick up? I have Jones and Dillon's taken. Patrick Taylor is like your desperate call. But not excited about it. Not excited. Danny says, 10-team single flex. We have Ertz, Eckler, Kyron, Kupp, Ridley, Komet. Traded Ertz for Olave. Great trade. We have Amari, Jamison, Ford, Michael Thomas, Jaleel on the bench. Any moves to make? I mean, down there on the bench, we don't really have a ton of value. I think if we get a spike from Jamison, we can go ahead and look to sell him. It would be interesting if we could sell Jerome Ford and Cole Kmet and go get a stud tight ends. I mean, we had Ford as a sell-high guy for us a few weeks back. It's going to be much easier said than done now to go through and sell Jerome Ford, though. Maybe we missed that boat. But phenomenal price tag to go through and sell Zach Ertz for Chris Olave. Really like to see that, my friend. Okay. Now, Ibrahim says, how BBR really need your analysis? Trade Walker and Kittle for Kelsey and Lockett. Kittle to Kelsey, massive upgrade. Walker to Lockett, downgrade. A team's 1-4. We need points in the lineup right now. I think that we will go ahead and we will take the Travis Kelsey side of things. I mean, George Kittle was a buy low guy for us about 2 weeks back. And the reason being is with Kittle, we kind of learned who he is at this point of his career, right? George Kittle is going to be a tight end that does nothing for 3 weeks. And then he's going to have a week where he drops 40 points. And because of that 40-point week, you need to have him in your starting lineup every single week. You need to rank him still as a borderline top 5 tight end every single week, even if he's going to give you a lot of duds. But yeah, if you can take him after one of those spike weeks where he has 3 touchdowns and go and sell him and get back someone like Travis Kelsey, I think that does make a lot of sense. Ross says 18 PBR where you have a Lamar, JT, Sanders, Jefferson, Chase, Olave, Laporta with Algier, Moss, Myers, Thomas, Jameson, and Waller on the bench. How do we strengthen the running back position? If you could somehow find someone to be excited to trade for Darren Waller in the worst offense in the NFL, if we could take like Darren Waller and Miles Sanders and go send them for a running back upgrade, I think that would be very advantageous. Because with Sanders, even if he does get healthy and he expands his role, I mean, specifically in a 14-team format, he's not someone that's going to make a big difference now. Zach says, 5-0, do we drop Lockett for a defense? No, you do not, sir. We have the Dallas defense looking to stash for easy matchups. Wide receivers are Hill, Brown, Puka, Debo, Addison, and Myers. I would drop Myers before I would drop Lockett's. Yeah, and honestly, if you just drop the other defense, whoever you have. I mean, just start Dallas every week if that's what we got. Now, Steven says PBR 2 and 3 double flex. We have Hurts, Ayuk, Sanders, Chuba, Johnston for Lawrence, Swift, DK, Gainwell. Or Hurts, Sanders, Ayuk, Flowers, Chuba for Lawrence, JT, DK. Okay. So let's go first deal. Hurts to Lawrence, downgrade. Ayuk to DK, lateral move. Sanders to Swift, upgrade. I'd rather have the Jalen Hurts side. Or Hurts to Lawrence, downgrade. Sanders to JT, massive upgrade. Ayuk to DK, lateral move. If you were going to make a trade, it's the second one. But in reality, I'd probably keep Jalen Hurts. Unless, if you were going to make one, you're going to get Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's a tier ahead of Swift rest of season. Ronald says, Russ, Dobbs, Pollard, Connor, Walker, Rashad, Zach Moss, Higgins, Jacoby, Tyreek, Evans, Thielen, Ayuk, Kittle, 3-1, 10-team single flex. Any moves? Dobbs or Myers? We will go with Jacoby Myers over Romeo Dobbs, my man, now that you have GBG good to go. And not necessarily anything. I mean, if you could take one of those depth wide receivers like Mike Evans and send him with George Kittle and go get Travis Kelce, I think that'd be very interesting. The more I think about it, honestly, especially as we saw that last Kittle for Kelce deal, I think Kittle will have to go from being that buy low for us to now a sell high. And I'm sorry for flip-flopping, but when we have a massive week like that, I think we can flip. Cody says 12-team PBR format, 1-4, 6 teams make the playoffs. Ayuk, Pickens for Olave. Ayuk and Pickens probably have more value right now if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. I personally would not mind taking Olave. But real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 500 likes on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy for tonight's games, you can find that in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, plus a Jordan Love special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard going up against the Raiders tonight. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we got everybody hooked up. Doesn't matter if you're new to Underdog, signed up to Underdog 2 years ago, last year, as long as you use promo code FLOCK when you signed up, or you can do it today or tomorrow, you will get the Justin Herbert special pick'em more than less than half a total yard for Monday night as well. Underdog never has 2 special pick'ems the same week. They hooked us up for our birthday. So please, if you want to, promo code FLOCK, be the best birthday present you could give me. Now, next question coming out from, I believe, Arshade says, 10-team BBR 2 and 3. AJ Puka for Jefferson. We have Kupp and Hurts. Two and 3 record, it's a little bit tougher. If it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'd be completely fine doing it, assuming Jefferson's only going to miss 1 to 2 weeks. It's just hard to doing it right now when we have no idea. Then he says, I also have Mostert. Love your content. Thank you, my man. And Mostert does make life a little bit easier, especially if we are dealing with the Devon Achane injury. Michael says, Brees played Denver. Are we packaging and selling him for Pollard, Walker, Etienne, or Montgomery? Or is he a top 15 running back rest of season? He's definitely a top 15 running back rest of season. I've seen some people trying to sell him as like a top 5 RB. I think he's probably like a low-end RB1 just because how bad this offense is. If I could, I'm going to stand by what we said earlier on in the year. If we can sell Brees Hall and go get someone like Travis Etienne, that would be a no-brainer for me. If we can get like Etienne, I'd sell Brees Hall for Tony Pollard as well. Blake says 12-team double flex PBR 3 and 2. I traded David Montgomery and Devonta Smith 1 for 1. Needed a wide receiver after the Mike Williams injury. My wide receiver starts Ridley, Smith, Judy. That's on the trade and Judy. Traded Montgomery for Smith. Okay. Double flex full BBR format. I am okay with it. And Jerry Judy, I think, can be viable in this format in particular. The issue that we may have when it comes to selling David Montgomery is, if you look at the schedule rest of season for the Lions, it looks like they're going to be favored in the vast majority of games they play in. Sando says Jaden Reed or A.J. Dillon tonight. Dillon easily with no Aaron Jones, my man. We have Jacobs playing and down 59, so I need a huge miracle. So we're going Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon, and we need 60 points out of them. Wishing you the best of luck, my man. Wishing you the best of luck. Harsh says 12-team BBR, Smith, Pacheco for Thielen and Aaron Jones. Thielen and Aaron Jones. I'm going to go Smith and Pacheco. I'd still rather have Smith over Thielen the rest of season. And Pacheco's, expanding his role consistently here in this offense. Now, GFY says 12-team BBR double flex, 2 and 2. We have CMC, JT, Ford, White, Charbonnet, Devontae, Kirk, London, Dotson, Jameson. Do I trade Kirk and JT for Mahomes and Ayuk? Hell no. Now's the worst time for us to go through and trade away Jonathan Taylor, my friend. Jonathan Taylor just got paid $42 million. I understand Zach Moss looked great. I understand Jonathan Taylor gave us nothing this past week. In reality, Jonathan Taylor is still the guy going forward. To go through and sell him at that kind of low point, I can't do it. Sammy says give Amon-Ra and Josh Reynolds for Josh Jacobs. My running backs are Walker, Pierce, while my receivers are Kupp, Puka, and Olave. So we need a trade for a running back. I'd be fine if you wanted to do it. If it's like a multi-flex league, then we probably just keep the wide receivers where we can start all of them. Josh Jacobs, you see his pick him on Underdog right now. They have him for like 100 total yards. He is projecting to be that 3-down workhorse. Daniel says 10 TPBR 4-1. Hurts, CMC, AJ, Ayuk, Ferguson, Olave. And then on the bench, we have Puka, Taylor, Palmer, Sanders, Jalen Warren, Jamison, and Njoku. Any trade ideas? Great team. We're set up for the long term. I'd say what we probably look to do is if we could sell like Puka and we're probably not going to be able to do that. If we can maybe sell like AJ Brown and Ferguson and go get a Travis Kelce on this team, that make a lot of sense, especially down there on the bench when we have guys like Puka and Jonathan Taylor for the long term as well. So yeah, the only thing I would do is see if we can go through and, I mean, you can afford that elite level tight end. See if Kelce is available for trade. Now, Tobin says any props tonight. So my favorite pick 'em on Underdog before today. I mean, I guess too many of us took it, so it went higher. I really like Christian Watson for more than 40.5 receiving yards. But now they moved Christian Watson up to 49.5 total yards. So much harder to go through and say, oh, take Christian Watson more than 40.5 receiving yards. I mean, that was the initial plan. If you are new to Underdog, my favorite one, which I know you're not new, but if you would be new, you would get the Jordan Love more than less than half a total yard. I like A.J. Dillon for more than less than half a total yard. And I like Josh Jacobs for less than 102 total yards. You know, I like my guy Jacobs, but 102 total yards for a projected pick 'em for him is very aggressive, to say the least. Now, Steven coming out saying, by the way, I'd be getting Jalen Hurts. I have Bijan, Swift, JT, Achane, White, Gainwell, AJ, DK, Cup, Evans, Lawrence. Happy birthday, man. Any idea when we could buy merch? So we hired some. Here, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this again. Okay. I'd be fine trading the Lawrence side for Jalen Hurts, especially on a team where we have A.J. Brown. Okay. But, yeah, so we hired a couple of full-time devs for flockfantasy.com. We're going to build it out. I'm investing everything I have into flockfantasy.com. We're going to make it the best fantasy football site on the planet. Once we get around to it, I will make a merch page. Just full transparency, it is so much easier logistically for me to just give out free merch to people. Like I've given out hundreds of free shirts, hundreds of free hats so far this season for the members of flockfantasy.com and for the people who use promo code FLOCK on Underdog. I don't know if we are going to set up something for people to buy free merch because it's like way easier for me to say, okay, this is a merch week. I'm going to ship out 200 hats this week. Versus like every single day from now until the end of time, I have to be going through and shipping out merch. And I've done like the merch setup where you have like a company dealing with it. But whenever that happens, it's always like the lowest quality stuff. And I feel really, I did it once like for a week and then I ordered it myself. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crap. So we canceled it and I'm never going to have another company do it for us. I'm just going to do it all myself. So I can just guarantee what the quality is. Travis coming out saying, help, we're 0-5, 12-team league. We have Lawrence, Bijan, Connor, Madison, Hubbard, Warren, Ridley, Chase, Thielen, St. Brown, Laporta, Kincaid. Thoughts, and should we trade a wide receiver for a running back? So 0-5, we need points today, not tomorrow. So if James Conner is injured, what you need to do is you need to go send James Conner for any running back that you think will be viable this week. That is the play. 0-5, you can come back from it, but you are essentially in the fantasy football playoffs now. It is win or go home. So whenever you're looking at someone like James Conner, you have to go through and sell him, see what you can get. John says, what players are you targeting specifically for the fantasy playoffs? Looking at running backs, wide receivers, 4-1, 8 teams make the, oh my gosh, 10-team league, 8 teams make the playoffs. Then you can be 0-6 and you can go back from that. But, I mean, if you are looking at guys, I like a lot of these rookies right now to add on for very close to free. Guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Ian Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. I think that they could be interesting playoff targets. Steven says traded Keenan Allen, Zay Flowers for Henry and Olave. Ramajo is hurting me. If it is a non-BBR format, I like the move. Full BBR league, it's going to be very difficult to sell Keenan Allen. And I didn't even love Keenan Allen coming into the season. Like I wasn't a big Keenan Allen fanboy, but what I would say is, okay, well now we have no Mike Williams. So Keenan Allen looks like a borderline top 5 receiver. Now, Obele says 12 team 4-1 with one super flex. We have Lawrence, Etienne, Kamara, Diggs, DJ, Michael Thomas, Hopkins, Zay, Ingram, Howell. Then we have Warren, Palmer, Spears. Any trades? Should we sell high on DJ and Kamara? I was ready to sell high on DJ right after the game on Thursday. Like we were saying, okay, he's going to have a good game against a really bad defense, and they'll have back-to-back decent games against the Broncos and the Commanders. So we were planning on selling him high, but now you can't, my man. Now, I mean, it's very, very difficult to say that. With Alvin Kamara, I would be looking to sell him high if it was a non-PBR format. Full PBR league, probably want to be holding on to Kamara, though. Now, Uncle Drew says 10-team at PBR double flex, 0-5. Burrow, Stafford, Bijan, Stevenson, White, Ford, Gainwell, Kupp, Smith, Amon-Ra, Hollywood, Godwin, Rice, Waller. Do we make any moves or just ride out the unlucky season? Well, you had Burrow injured. You had Kupp injured. You had Stevenson turn into a pumpkin. You had Waller's offense turn into the worst offense in the NFL. It's understandable why we're 0-5. I think this team will naturally be better as the season goes on, but if Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with like a serious injury, he's going to miss some time, then at that point, you do need to go through and you need to sell Amon-Ra St. Brown in a package with someone like Stevenson and go get someone that's going to make a difference right now. So 0-5, it's win or go home. Brandon says, 12-team full BBR, just traded Achane for Higgins with Jefferson hurt. My running backs are Etienne, Kyron, JT. You undersold Devon Achane if he is healthy. With that being said, if he is good to go, you're fine. If he's good to go, you're fine, my friend. Manoa says, 10-team PBR, should I trade Lamb for Olave and Swift? Our running backs are Saquon, Brian Robinson, Warren, and Ford. Receivers are Lamb, Ridley, and Waddle. Typically, I'd say no, we don't want to be selling Lamb after a primetime game where the Dallas Cowboys did absolutely nothing. But getting DeAndre Swift and getting Chris Olave does seem like a very fair price point. And we could use DeAndre Swift's actual production in this lineup. So, honestly, it's up to you. I think that's a very fair deal. Dominican says, get offered Bijan and McLaurin for Kelsey, yes or nay? I would rather have Bijan over Kelsey. Now, Elias says, 12-team BBR, single flex. 0-3, now 0-2. Was 0-3, now 0-2. How does that work, my man? Now, I'm no mathematician. But I think we have the time guy from the Avengers here that can turn back time. Etienne, Achane, Puka, McLaurin, Brees, Kelsey. On the bench, we have JT, Godwin, JSN, Wandale, Deontay. Would you sell one of my running backs for a wide receiver? Hell no, my man. Why would we do that? I know McLaurin's not great right now. Long-term, you'll get Deontay back in. We have the long-term upside of Jackson Smith and Jigba as well. We have Godwin to go through and play for McLaurin. So, no, I think we're chilling. I think you're in a great spot, and this team's only going to get better as the season goes on. Now, Jonathan says 16-team league. PBR, we had Richardson. Should we trade Puka for Purdy in Debo or Purdy in Collins? 16-team format, obviously it's going to be much more expensive to go out there and buy a quarterback. The rest of the team is Madison, Eckler, Hill, Puka, Downs, Hawkinson. So we stream QB instead. If everybody's only allowed to roster one quarterback and then there are like 16 quarterbacks out there that we can go through and stream, we do stream the quarterback position. If the majority of people are rostering two QBs and you're telling me, okay, well, it's either we start Gardner Minshew or we make this trade, we probably go ahead and we make this trade, and I'd probably rather have a Deebo Samuel as Deebo Samuel gets fully healthy. But it really does depend on those quarterbacks that you have out there on waivers, my friend. Isaac says, Herbert, Etienne, Jacobs, Kyron, Gibbs, Moss, Walk, Wilson, Debo, Puka, Nico, Thielen, Kelsey. Should I stream my wide receivers on matchups or make some moves with a running back? It's an 8-team format. I mean, well, we don't necessarily have a ton of running back value we can sell. Nobody's going to want to buy Gibbs. I mean, if you could somehow, some way package together Zach Moss and like Garrett Wilson, or Zach Moss and Debo, Zach Moss and Puka, Zach Moss and Nico, and go get an upgrade at wide receiver, we do it. In reality, I think you're just going to be playing the matchups. James says 10-team PBR, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. We have Chase, St. Brown, Puka, Olave, Mixon, Cook, Brian Robinson, Pierce, Ford. Trade for a running back upgrade, we're 3-2. If you wanted to see if we could send like Puka and Brian Robinson, or Puka and like Jerome Ford, or Puka and Pierce, and go get a player like, say, maybe Tony Pollard, I think that make a lot of sense. Now, SS Stitches says 12-team at BBR format, 4-1. We have Tua, Kyron, Moss, Diggs, Kupp, Waller, Myers. The bench is Burrow, Dillon, Sutton, Gabe Davis, P. Ryan. Worried about Zach Moss. Yeah, I mean, if you started Zach Moss this week, congrats, my man. Going forward, you probably can't do that. What we're going to look to do is if we can send, say, Burrow and Zach Moss and go get a viable running back, that'd make a lot of sense. And maybe we can find someone to go buy Burrow. Go approach the Anthony Richardson team and go, hey, man, I'll give you Burrow and Zach Moss. Give me a running back that I can reasonably start on a week-to-week basis. Go give me someone like DeAndre Swift. I mean, with Tua, we can start him every single week regardless. Malachi says 4-1, 10-team league, single flex. We have Lamar, Kamara, Hall, Jefferson, Chase, Waller, Lamb. On the bench, we have Olave, James Cook, Gabe Davis, and Dallas Goedert. Should we sit tight? We have a ton of depth where if we could go out there, if we could sell, say, like Gabe Davis and Darren Waller and go get Mark Andrews to stack with Lamar, we would do that. But we don't have to be super aggressive about it because we can also sit tight and wait to make sure that Jefferson's going to be fine. But great team. Manoa says, Bills defense banged up. Do we go with the Seahawks? Happy birthday. Thank you, my friend. Okay. What I'm going to do, say, it does not matter if the Bills defense is banged up or not. Vegas has the Bills as 14-point favorites over the Giants here. You have to go ahead. You have to play the Bills defense, my man. The Bills defense by far and away the best defense of the week. Austin says, should we trade Smith for Debo Samuel? I'd rather have Debo Smith. I'm sorry, Devonta Smith, not Debo Smith. Yeah, give me Debo Smith or Devonta Samuel. But no, I think we're going to take Smith here. We talked about A.J. Brown being a buy low guy going into week 3. Keeping it super simple. I mean, when you have elite level wide receivers in an offense like this, 1 week it's going to be A.J. Brown. The next week it's going to be Smith. It's going to go back and forth there. Now, KG says, happy birthday. Thank you, my friend. 12-team PBR. We have Lawrence, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Olave, Waddle, Brees, and the flex. Bench is DJ, Kirk, Sanders. Sell JT and Olave or Waddle for Diggs. I personally look to hold on to Jonathan Taylor. I mean, this is a not-so team, so I understand why you would want to make this move. But still, if I am looking at JT, this is a running back that I think has the upside to be a top 5 running back in fantasy. I know this week he only played 10 snaps. It was his first week back with the team. They just gave him $42 million. You go back to last season, he was the number 1 overall pick in fantasy drafts. Anderson says 4-1, 12-team at BBR format. Traded Jefferson before his injury and got Etienne and Olave. Before the injury, I would have said I did not like it. Now, after the injury, it's okay. And you know I love Etienne. Team is Stroud, Montgomery, Pollard, Lamb, Olave, Andrews, Etienne. Any trades that we look to make. I mean, if we have someone like DJ Moore down there on the bench, we can send like a strong bench wide receiver with CJ Stroud. And I think with this team, we can afford to go out there and upgrade quarterback, especially as we made the Jefferson for other deal. Vincent says, Mason, you missed my donation. I believe we answered it, my friend. I'd be happy to go through and see if we can pull this up again. Just give me 1 second. And as I pull this up, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. It's our birthday tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to give me a birthday gift, the best thing that you could do is go and take advantage of what I hooked y'all up with on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings, plus a Jordan Love special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. That's if you're new to Underdog Fantasy. And even if you are not new to Underdog, it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you use promo code FLOCK when you signed up, whether that was today, yesterday, say 2 years ago, yada, 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 does not matter. As long as you use promo code FLOCK, you will get that Justin Herbert more than less than half a total yard on Monday night as well. So please make sure you are taking advantage. And I believe we have stalled enough to be able to pull up Vincent's questions. Vicente. 12 team 2 and 3, Happy BR, double flex, no tight ends. We have Howell, Ayuk, Ridley, CMC, JT, Kenneth Walker, Laporta, Curtis Samuel. On the bench, we have MT, Dell, Judy, Burrow, Goddard. Do we make a move? Thinking about getting a better receiver. Also, is Joe back? Looks like Joe is back. Start Joe over Sam Howell going forward. I mean, if we have Sam Laporta and Dallas Goddard, if you really wanted to see if we could send like Dallas Goddard and Michael Thomas to go get a better wide receiver, you can throw it out there. I just don't know how excited people are going to be to go and buy what we have right away with Goddard, even if Goddard was a little encouraging this week, which, you know, I'm really hoping that our guy Goddard continues to do well. Now, our next question coming out from Legendary says, went through with the trade, Devontae for Swift and Olave. If it's Devontae Adams, I think it's close. Devonta Smith, obviously Swift and Olave. Julian says, you're the GOAT. Thanks for all your hard work. No, thank you so much, my man, for being a member of the flock for so long. 12 team, at BBR 3 and 2 after this week. We have Kirk, Puka, DJ Pollard, Brees, Goddard, Olave, Robinson, and Njoku. Would you do Brian Robinson and Puka or DJ Moore for Mixon and Devonta Smith or Garrett Wilson? I would rather have Smith over Wilson. Puka, DJ Moore, up to you. So would I trade Brian Robinson and Puka for Joe Mixon and Devonta Smith? I would probably rather have Joe Mixon and Devonta Smith. Smith is going to be volatile because A.J. Brown's in the same offense. It's still an elite level offense at the end of the day. He's still a phenomenal wide receiver at the end of the day. If we are looking at what we have when it comes to Joe Mixon versus Brian Robinson, Joe Mixon is just in so much of a better offense, especially if Joe Burrow is back and Burrow is good to go. So I think we probably take the Mixon side. Zinnia says, I was offered Ramadre and Dameon Pierce for Joe Mixon. Yes or no? It's a 14-team format. My gut is saying no, but analyzers are saying yes. Since it's a 14-team league, I think, yes, we go ahead and do this, my friend. 14-team format, I think you probably just have no other option but to get some points in this starting lineup and get the two startable players. Daniel says, H.N. Pickens, Dell for Pollard and Devonta Smith. We're going to go Pollard and Smith. Not close, to be honest with you. Hazy says, full BBR need 14 points for the win. Dobbs or Myers? I personally go Myers. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have here? Would you rather have Jacoby Myers or Romeo Dobbs to get you 14 points? Jacoby Myers or Romeo Dobbs? Let me know. Am I crazy to want Myers here? We got Myers, Dobbs, Myers, Myers. Myers, Dobbs, Dobbs, Dobbs. Myers, Myers, Dobbs, Dobbs. It does look like it's split about 50-50, my man. Oh, sorry. Water down the wrong pipe. Ugh. Okay, so now the Conqueror coming out saying, Mason, thanks for the team breakdown on Discord. Hell yeah, my man. Thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Anyone in the chat who hasn't joined is missing out. Now that Anthony Richardson is hurt, should I keep Stroud, cut Gino? Okay. Between Gino and Stroud, it really is kind of up to you there. I wouldn't be fine if you wanted to go what you could go either way. I'll probably go Stroud for the long-term upside. Stroud for the long-term upside, but it's close. And yeah, if you haven't joined the flock, flockfantasy.com, join the flock. It's where you can find all my premium content and get me to break down your team in depth with code FLOCK. But Colton says 14-team BBR 3 and 2. We have Kirk, Love, Etienne, Brees, Spears, Warren, Gus, Keaton, Kupp, Puka, Hopkins, Amari, Palmer, Boyd, Laporta, any moves. Strong team for a 14-team format, especially now that we have the Brees breakout and we're a little bit more viable at running back. We have cut back as well. I mean, if we could go to like the Jefferson team that maybe is going to be dealing with a lack of wide receiver and need someone in the starting lineup and send them someone like, say, Joshua Palmer and Jalen Warren and go get a running back 3 upgrade, I think that'd make some sense. But overall, I think you're kind of just chilling, sitting on your hands there. I'm just saying, because it's a 14-team format, we have that depth. Maybe we can get someone to pay for someone like Palmer. Now, Dylan says, 10-team full BBR format, 5-0. Should we trade Alvin Kamara for Jonathan Taylor and Garrett Wilson? We have Cousins, Kyron, Brees, Pacheco, Jefferson, Smith, Puka, Palmer, Spears, and Hawkinson. Yes, I would definitely do this. I honestly would probably rather have Jonathan Taylor over Alvin Kamara rest of season. Give me Kamara this week, but long term, I may take JT. Zach says, Myers or Watson, we need 11.5 points. I am going to be going with Christian Watson, but I am an idiot. Knox says, 12-team at BBR format, double flex. We have Tua, A.J. Brown, Waddle, Gibbs, I believe Javonte, Watson, Zach Moss, or Jameson. I don't know. Any trade. Trying to A.J. Brown for Eckler. If we could send A.J. Brown for Eckler, I think that'd make a lot of sense. This does look to be a team that just doesn't have a lot of depth overall. I mean, some of these options in the starting lineup we're not really that excited about. It would be really nice to get a breakout from Christian Watson here. Alejandro says, drop Ford or Stevenson to pick up Spears for from the waiver wire. No, you want to keep Ford and Stevenson. Boston says, 12-team 3 wide receiver at BBR. We have Lamar, AJ Amari, Puka, Montgomery, Taylor, Barkley, Hawkinson with Flowers, London, Roshan on the bench. Any trade ideas? Great team. If you could send Hawkinson for Andrews, maybe that would be interesting just to get to the Lamar and Andrews stack. But very well-balanced format. In a 3 wide receiver league, we're probably going to be keeping those wide receivers on the bench and keeping a little more depth with the team overall. Elias says, I was 0-3 to 2-3. Well, congrats on winning the past 2 weeks, my man. Congrats on winning. Okay. Julian says 4-0, hopefully 5-0 after tonight. It's a 14-team full BBR standard format. We have Love, Lawrence, Olave, Nico, Flowers, Elijah, Deontay, Barkley, Mixon, Robinson, Waller, Otten. Should I look to improve wide receiver, running back, or sit on the hands? 14-team league, pretty good team. It's tough to be able to make this deal right now, right? It would be if say Jefferson's out for like a month, right? We get really bad news with Justin Jefferson. He's going to be missing a month, and that team really needs someone right now. If we could go through and if we could possibly sell like Olave and maybe get back Justin Jefferson. They would really like to go ahead and make that play. Obviously, that's like a woulda, coulda, shoulda. We don't necessarily know if it will happen. But if that is a possibility, it would be something we look to do. Legendary says, thoughts on trading Moore for a Amon-Ra or a CeeDee Lamb? I would trade DJ Moore for a Amon-Ra St. Brown very easily. Uncle Dud says, 4-1, 8-team PBR league. We have Herbert, Tua, Diggs, Puka, Ayuk, Atwell, Flowers, James Cook, Swift, Montgomery, Etienne, Kittle. Any trades or should we hold off? 8-team format. I mean, I would love to go and see if we can get Kelsey. If we could send, say, Puka and Kittle, Ayuk and Kittle, Swift and Kittle, Montgomery and Kittle, and go get Travis Kelsey, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Obviously, Kittle going to be an extremely volatile wide receiver. I mean, we did talk about this as well with, George Kittle being our buy low guy a few weeks back. We didn't say buy low on George Kittle because he's going to be a locked and loaded stud rest of season. We said we know who George Kittle is. He's going to give you a bunch of duds. He's going to give you a ton of production all at once. And you kind of want to be just starting him every week because he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver when it's all said and done at the end of the day. But if he can give you all that production at once, then we flip him to a locked and stud every week like Kelsey by just paying a little bit more. I would like that. Michael says, 8-team at BBR format. We have Lamar, Barkley, JT, Hopkins, Walker, and Waller all on the bench. We have Allen at quarterback, Bijan Jacobs at running back, Cup, Chase, Adams, wide receiver. Oh my gosh, this is a nuts team. I mean, so if we have these elite level players on the bench and it's an 8-team format, let me repeat, it's an 8-team format, very similar to what we just saw with this other team. It's a loaded team in an 8-team format. What we want to do is we want to take some of that wide receiver depth. We want to take some of the running back depth. We want to do anything that we can to go out there and overpay for someone like Travis Kelce. That is the main thing that we want to do. Now, Jaegerism says, hey, David. I'm Mason, but thank you. It got Cup, Adams, Puka, Hopkins, my wide receiver room. Running backs are Gibbs, Taylor, Roschon, Walker. Any upgrades about the running back room? We also have Hawkinson and Hurts. Love to see that. Running back room, I think, is going to be completely fine. You had Kenneth Walker on the bye. Jonathan Taylor's first week back. Gibbs was out. Roschon had the concussion. But going forward, Walker's back. Taylor's expanding his role. Roschon's maybe the starter in Chicago now that you have Khalil Herbert missing time. See, I think this running back room's completely fine, my man. I don't think you have to do anything. Okay. Now, Dennis coming out saying 3-2, 12-team at BBR format. We have Watson, JT, Ramadre, Saquon, Olave, DJ Moore, Hawkinson. And then on the bench, we have Judy, Dotson, Downs, Charbonnet, Zeke, Goff, Daniel Jones. Lowest points scored team. Oh, gross. We'll be much better now that we have JT back in. Hopefully we get Saquon. Honestly, the only thing I would say I have an issue with this team is if it's a one quarterback format, us rostering 3 QBs, probably not ideal. I would go through and drop Daniel Jones at this point with his injury. Pick up another running back or wide receiver that you like off the waiver wire with upside. But outside of that, I mean, you did what you needed to. You survived. You had Jonathan Taylor injured. You had Saquon Barkley injured. Going for these guys should be viable. So we probably just want to be saying a good team. It's going to continue to get better. And yeah, we really don't need to be doing too much outside of just dropping a quarterback and picking up another running back wide receiver with a high ceiling. Now, Zachary says in Superflex, we have Tyreek, Ridley, James Conner, Javonte, Hogginson at tight end, feeling horrible at running back. Should we give up Ridley for Kamara or grab DeMarcado to pass the Conner injury? So the issue is, even if Conner's injured, we don't even know if that's going to be the guy. I think plan A, if we have a winning record, is to go through and just make the waiver wire move for now. Wait till we get more news regarding James Conner. And then if James Conner is going to be out for an extended period of time, then at that point, we can determine, okay, it probably makes sense for us to go ahead and trade a wide receiver for a running back like Ridley for Kamara. But I think plan A is to go through and just make the waiver wire move. Patrick says, 10-team BBR, 2 quarterback, 2 and 3. We have Hurts, Jones, Waddle, Wilson, Connor, Kelce, Hill, Hall, Thielen. And then on the bench, we have Joshua Dobbs, JSN, Ramondre Spears, Zach Charbonnet. Any moves? Drop Joshua Dobbs. There's no reason to have, drop Joshua Dobbs. No reason to have him if we have Jalen Hurts. Only want to roster 1 QB. Really like the other rookies that we have down there on the bench that have upside long term. And then outside of that, we keep team as is. I would just drop Joshua Dobbs, go pick up a running back off the waiver wire. Like, go pick up the backup in Arizona if we were dealing with the James Conner injury, my friend. Okay. Nate says, happy birthday, brother. Thank you, my man. It is technically tomorrow, but thank you. Really, really do appreciate it. Now, Johnny says, should I trade Waddle and Javonte for Taylor? We need running back help bad. We have Kupp, Amon-Ra, Pittman. My running backs are Montgomery, Stevenson, and Spears in a 12-team PPR formats. Yes, I think we will. I even like Waddle. But still, I think that JT can be a top 5 running back rest of season. And I don't know if Javonte's viable at all. Even if Javonte does play dealing with the hip injury, probably a very hard spot to rely on him. So I think we do just go ahead and we get Jonathan Taylor there, my friend. But real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 700 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Help us get to 700. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy for tonight, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to be getting a 100% deposit match, our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK is going to get you a Jordan Love special pick'em for tonight, more than less than half a total yard. And on top of that, we got everybody hooked up since it's our birthday week. Underdog let us give everybody who's ever signed up with promo code FLOCK, whether it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Everybody who signs up with code FLOCK is going to get a Justin Herbert special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. Should be live in your app right now for that Monday night game. So please make sure you are taking advantage. You can find that link in the live chat in the description. Birthday party. My birthday is tomorrow. By far and away the best present you could give me is code FLOCK on Underdog, taking advantage of what we set y'all up with. Sean says we already have Ridley and Tyreek, was offered Lawrence and Kupp for Herbert and Keenan. Thoughts on the trade, and does it benefit me? Herbert to Lawrence, downgrade. Keenan to Kupp, honestly, give me Herbert and Keenan. Like, if we had Mike Williams playing, I'd say, oh yeah, let's go get Kupp for damn sure. But I think that Cooper Kupp is an elite. I think that Keenan Allen is an elite level wide receiver as well. Now that you have no Mike Williams. And it's not like I even drafted a lot of Keenan Allen this offseason. I wish I drafted more. Robert says 12-team PPR single flex 2 and 3. We have Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Brian Robinson, Brees, Jefferson, Smith, Hollywood. I was proposed to get Brees and Smith for Aaron Jones and Davante Adams. What are your thoughts? Ooh, very interesting trade, honestly. Can everybody let me know in the live chat, what would you rather have? Would you rather have Brees Hall and Devonta Smith or Aaron Jones and Davante Adams? Please spam the chat. Let me know right now. Are you going to go Brees Hall and Devonta Smith or Aaron Jones and Davante Adams? Obviously, you'd rather have Brees Hall over Aaron Jones. You'd rather have Davante Adams over Devonta Smith. So let me know. Okay, we got Adams, Brees, Adams, Brees, Brees. Yeah, no idea. So it honestly does look like it's, if you look at the chat right now, it is split about 50-50. So I do think honestly, it is up to you, my friend. I think it's a very fair trade. It's a very interesting trade as well. Adam says, should we sell high on Brees? If you could pivot from Brees and go get to like Tony Pollard, then yes. If you could sell Brees in a small piece and go get to, say, I don't know, maybe Bijan Robinson, then hell yeah. I'd rather have Travis Etienne over Brees Hall still. So, with Brees, obviously one of the best running backs in the league, but at the same time, in one of the worst offenses in the NFL as well. Okay. Now, Chief Perp, always happy to see you, my man. Says running backs are Barkley, Jacobs, Walker, Etienne, Swift, Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Kyron. Double flex league. I've been doing a decent job at swapping these guys out week to week to get the highest ceiling possible. Should we get Moss for any of them rest of season? Hell to the no. No. Not with Jonathan Taylor expanding his role. We have so many running backs with upside here that if we were looking to make a deal, we are looking to trade 2 guys for 1 in return. We're looking to send Barkley and Montgomery and go get CMC, that would be the trade that we're looking to make. We're not trading any of these guys for Zach Moss. Elite level running back room. You don't want to be going down in the rankings. You want to be going up, even if that means we sacrifice a little bit of the depth. Okay. Now, Chris says, yo, Mason, 2 and 3 in a 10-team app PBR league, 1 flex. My running backs are HN, Walker, Pollard. My receivers are AJ Brown, Amari, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, JSN, London. What are your thoughts on taking DJ Moore and Amari and another RB for a wide receiver 1? Okay, so I know you're just saying DJ Moore and a running back for a wide receiver 1. I think that it's an understandable thought process. If you can send like DJ Moore and Devon Achane and go get a Tyreek Hill level player, it's an obvious no-brainer move. Or even like, say DJ Moore and Tony Pollard and go get like to Tyreek Hill. The thing is, you probably need to hold off until we get clarity on the Devon Achane injury. It's just a spot that we have no idea what's going to happen, and it's hard to say that you need to go through and make that move right now. Cheap Perp says, happy early birthday, big dog. Really appreciate you always hanging out with us, my man. Sebastian, welcome to being a member of the flock. Happy to have you. And Colts Rock says, 12-team Dynasty Superflex. We have Lamar, Anthony Richardson, Eckler, Jacob, Swift, Javonte Diggs, Kupp, Smith, Lockett, Andrews. Do we trade for a quarterback or ride out the Anthony Richardson injury? So the thing with this team is we're 100% set to win right now, you know? So it's difficult to say, oh, let's ride it out. Let's just think long-term. It's Dynasty. We're loaded up with veterans across the board. If you have no other QB2, like you don't even have a Baker Mayfield to start, you may need to go ahead. You may need to say, sell like Tyler Lockett just to get like Baker Mayfield in return to cover for Richardson while he's gone. Ian said, would you trade Achane straight up for JT? It's tough to know. Achane has just been absolutely dominant. Now, with that being said, I probably do go JT with the Achane injury before we know what it is. Okay. Now, Nick says, please fix my team. 12-team Happy VR triple flex. I'm 2-3. We have Burrow, Love, Gibbs, Ramondre, Herbert, Roshan, Charbonnet, Olave, Puka, Watson, Dotson, Palmer, Laporta. Triple flex format. We're more so looking to build around wide receiver depth. We have 1, 2, 3 startable wide receivers, really. I mean, Dotson, you can honestly go through and drop. So I think the issue with this team is maybe we just don't have enough depth at the moment. And for that reason, if Jordan Love is a great game today and we think that we can rely upon Joe Burrow rest of season, I wouldn't mind at all going through and selling Jordan Love to get a playable wide receiver in a triple flex league. Okay, Jack says 12-team PBR 3-1. We need 14 points to win. Start 2, Dillon, Musgrave, or Dobbs. We're going to go with AJ Dillon and Romeo Dobbs. And if it's a full PBR format, so honestly, I think you get it easily, my man. Sebastian says, should we trade Kenneth Walker or Saquon Barkley for Travis Kelce? I need a tight end, and I'm pretty stacked at running back. Giants offense is not looking great. I would love to trade either running back for Travis Kelce. I think, honestly, it's easy to take Kelce over either one of those guys. Now, Christian says, what's your record in personal leagues and how is best ball? So we play in so many leagues that it's much harder to keep track of than it used to be. So what I did do actually earlier today is I counted up the amount of best ball teams on Underdog that we have advancing in Best Ball Mania, because that's like the easiest thing for us to keep track of on a week-to-week perspective. And these drafts are actually public data. I think Underdog put these out. So, I mean, if you go to Underdog's Twitter, maybe you can actually track how I'm doing there. But last I checked, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We have about 30 teams advancing, and maybe 29 teams advancing in Best Ball Mania at the moment, which let me do the math on what the expectation is. Yeah, which is about 4 teams over expectation. And with that being said, I actually drafted a considerable amount of Packers, and I'm overweight on Jacobs and Devontae Adams and honestly Jacoby Myers. So I can even go up. So I know in Best Ball Mania, we are crushing right now. Not as good as last year, where last year we advanced like 40% of teams. This year it looks like we're closed it in closer to about 20% of our teams advancing. But still, as of now, we're doing good, just not as good as last year, which we knew that would be the case, right? Last year, I mean, we had better results than anybody else over a large sample. And yeah, I can't do that every year, but still better than average. Like 47 Angry Monkeys says, Jones was the flex down by 8, Dillon or Reed. We will go AJ Dillon over Jaden Reed, my friend. Starry says, should we trade Saquon and a wide receiver 2 for Austin Eckler? I would love to go ahead and do that. Happy birthday, David. Thank you, Zeke. Thank you, Hanks. Appreciate you. Now, Beggett says 2-3, 10-team standard PBR. We have Herbert, Diggs, Olave, Ridley, JT, Saquon, Connor, Laporta. And then on the bench, we have Higgins, Hollywood, Richardson, White, Komet. How do we look to improve? If we have Laporta that we can start every week, maybe if you could sell Komet and Saquon and go get a running back that you're not worried about his offense, go get like Pollard. We would look to do that. I mean, that's also someone I drafted in a considerable amount of Underdog leagues. Drafted a decent amount of Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley is just someone that I want to say, like, oh, buy low, the volume will be there, yada, yada, yada. In reality, this offense looks so bad, especially with the Daniel Jones injury. Well, right now, like this next week, you have the Giants as 14-point dogs. Legitimately 14-point dogs against the Bills here. Sonny says, happy early birthday, Mason. Thank you. Always appreciate seeing you, my man. We have Love, Henry, Kyron, Lamb, Amari, Brees. Could I do Derrick Henry and Kyron for Bijan Robinson? If it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, that's a full PPR league, I'm completely fine selling, say, 2 low-end RB1s, a low-end RB1, and a high-end RB2 to go get that locked-in stud. I had some people in the live chat earlier, with the video premiere, saying that they were worried about Bijan Robinson. I'm sitting here going, Bijan Robinson has averaged over 100 total yards per game this season. And the man is averaging like 4 to 5 receptions per game. So, yeah, I would be completely fine going out there buying Bijan Robinson still. Ray says, 12-team PPR Goddard in Hollywood for Hawkinson. I drafted a lot of Goddard. I drafted a lot of Hawkinson, but I did take more Goddard than Hawkinson, sadly. And I would still easily go make this deal. Go get Hawkinson. Now, Riley says, 10-team at PPR double quarterback. We have Lawrence, Stroud, Kupp, DJ, Metcalf, Flowers, Saquon, Kyron, Jacobs, Sanders, Moss. Should we trade Metcalf and Sanders for Olave? Metcalf, Sanders versus Olave. 10-team at PPR league. I think we need a little bit more value. It's close just because Sanders is legitimately nothing at this point. But I don't know. Now, Luke says 10-team at PPR standard format. We have Lawrence, Stroud, White, Sanders, Moss, Gibbs, Adams, Lamb, Kirk, Deontay, Kelsey. We need running backs help. Okay. So we are looking at RB here. I agree. Probably need some help at the running back position. Selling Christian Kirk would be really like the main thing that you could do. If you could send Christian Kirk and Miles Sanders just to get to really any viable running back, like go get to someone like Rachaad White, even if it's not that much of an upgrade. Go get to someone like James Cook, even if it's not that much of an upgrade. Obviously, we'd shoot for the stars. We'd try to go instead for like a David Montgomery. But in reality, I think you should be able to get one of those other running backs for that kind of package. And I think that would make sense. Now, Stefano coming out says 12-team PPR double flex. We have Fields, Chase, Olave, HN, Montgomery, Puka, Keenan, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have Brian Robinson, Ramondre, Warren Purdy. Should we trade Olave and Puka for Diggs, Goddard for Laporta, 2 and 3? Happy birthday. Thank you, my friend. And I have way more Dallas Goddard over Sam Laporta. So I'm very biased in saying this, but I do think that Dallas Goddard, Sam Laporta are in the same tier for me rest of season. And I think it's a personal preference thing for you. Now, with that being said, every other person in this live stream would scream at me, calling me an idiot, if I said to go Dallas Goddard. So just based off of market value, you kind of have to take Sam Laporta over Dallas Goddard. And then Diggs versus Olave and Puka. 12-team double flex format is going to be a little bit closer for the package, but we still probably want to go ahead and take Stephon Diggs there, especially when we have a pretty good team overall. I says, do you think I can win with Romeo Doubs? We need at least 4.5. Yes, I think you can win. I think you honestly are probably going to win no matter what, but if it's a full BBR format, you have a really good shot. JT says, Debo and Aaron Jones for Kupp. Guy needs a running back badly. Yeah, then go out there and get Kupp, especially if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where depth doesn't matter overall there, my friend. Danny, happy to see you, my man. Says, happy birthday, Mason. I'm in a full BBR league and we need a running back. We have Diggs, Higgins, DJ Thielen, JSN. Who should I target to get Brees Hall? We actually answered this for you early on, my man. We went on like a big old monologue at the beginning of the stream about this, where making a trade for Brees Hall is not going to be a solve. Like, the time to trade for Brees Hall was last week, you know? Like, to wait until Brees Hall goes up against the worst defense in the NFL and then go through and trade for him after he has a massive, massive game, breaking off a long touchdown run, will be very difficult to say now is the time to trade for Brees. Now, if you could send DJ Moore and Thielen for him, if you could send T. Higgins and Thielen, DJ Moore and JSN, T. Higgins at JSN, you probably go ahead and do it. In reality, you're probably not going to be able to trade for Brees Hall now. At least that would be my assumption. Now, the patient plum coming out says, got offered Pollard, Olave, Wilson for Kupp, Brees, Godwin. It's a 12-team BBR format where we have Mahomes, Mixon, Brees, Mostert, Kupp, Debo, Godwin, Gabe Davis, Reed, Josh Reynolds, Kittle, and Kmet. Do I counter or accept? Should I trade for RB depth? Olave, Wilson. Kupp to Pollard, up to you. Brees to Wilson, or Brees to Olave, probably give me Brees. Godwin to Wilson, up to you. Oh my gosh. If we could keep Godwin, then the deal is easy to make. What I would look to do is I would look to say, I'll give you, if that's his initial offer, I think you say, I'll give you Kupp, Brees for Pollard, Olave, Wilson. If he takes that, then let's go for it, my man. Let's go for it. The 3-for-3 deal is going to be very close. And in terms of you trading for running back depth, I don't necessarily think you need to, especially with the Devon Achane injury and how that may prop up Raheem Mostert for someone that you can start consistently. Now, Muhammad says 18 BBR league, 3-1. We have Mahomes, Eckler, Henry, Montgomery, Walker, Achane, Allen, Smith, Watson, Higgins, Andrews, Ingram. Looking for a solidified wide receiver to pair with Allen. Got 2 offers, Achane and Walker for Amon-Ra. Offer 2, Eckler for Kupp. I would much prefer Austin Eckler over Cooper Kupp at this point. Achane and Walker versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd rather have Achane and Walker. I understand the thought process and wanting to go out there and grab another wide receiver where you have seen the inconsistency from Devonta Smith, where you do have T. Higgins injured as well. We don't know what we have with Christian Watson. If you could instead say go trade like Devon Achane and Evan Ingram and go get a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown, then let's do it. Or if you can trade like Derrick Henry for Cooper Kupp, David Montgomery for Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker for Cooper Kupp, Devon Achane for Cooper Kupp, then let's do it. But those prices in particular, probably a little bit too high, my friend. Now, Johan says trade Olave McKinnon for JT and Wilson. Oh, this is a no-brainer. Go get JT and Wilson, not even close. Mason, welcome to the flock, and strong name, my man. Strong name. Love to see it. The patient plum says, forgot to mention my league is 2 flex. Yeah, then that makes it even that much more appealing to keep Godwin there. Javier says Thielen and Hollywood for Austin Eckler. Oh my gosh, we're going to go to Eckler easily. Anyone else to go for? I mean, if you wanted to go for Pollard, if you want to go for Bijan, really any of the running backs in that range, I think that'd be a no-brainer if you could somehow pull that off. I doubt it. YB Creation says PBR need 46. We have Jacobs, Watson. Do we have a chance? In a full BBR format, yes, you have a chance. Are you the favorite? No. I'd probably give you a 30% chance, 35% chance, somewhere in that range. But I don't know. You could see one of those massive Christian Watson spike weeks. M6 says get offered Waddle for Hawkinson and Ingram. Hawkinson. We have Ingram on the bench. Do we do? No, I think you want to keep TJ Hawkinson. The thing with Hawkinson as well is if you have no Jefferson, he's going to also get a massive spike in targets. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 800 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $500. Plus, you're going to get our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, for today's game, you'll be getting a Jordan Love special pick'em if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, more than less than half a total yard. And on top of that, because it's our birthday week, Underdog hooked us up. We're able to get everybody who's used promo code FLOCK, whether that was 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Use promo code FLOCK. You're going to get a Justin Herbert special pick'em. On top of that, more than less than half a total yard on Monday. Underdog never has 2 special pick'ems the same week, so please make sure you are taking advantage. And also, it's my birthday tomorrow. That could be the best birthday present you would give me, but Let's go ahead and let's go over to our next one. Nick says 12-team full BBR. We have Hurts, Higgins, Jefferson, Flowers, Swift, Brees, Montgomery. Probably no wide receivers this week. What should I do / what trades should I target for an upgrade? I think that honestly, we should just kind of relax, sit on our hands. We have Zay Flowers that we can go through and play. What we're probably going to do is just go hit the waiver wire, pick up a wide receiver we can play in the short term. Because we may also be you have no idea what the timeline looks like with Jefferson or Higgins, right? I mean, if we get updated news regarding these wide receivers later in the week where it looks like they are going to be missing more time than we initially thought, then at that point, possibly we can go through and make a trade. But until then, no, I think we wait until we get more news with those guys. Now, Lil Man says, trade Olave and Swift for Cooper Kupp, 4-1. Very dependent on your team. I'm not going to follow you at all for going Cooper Kupp here. Mason says, 10-team BBR, please help. We're 1-4. Wide receiver, 2 running backs, and a flex. We have Fields, Jacobs, Gibbs, JT, Kyron, Javonte, Tyreek, Lamb, Lockett, London, and Evan Ingram. So the big thing is now we need some help at the quarterback position. I think in a full BBR format, Jahmyr Gibbs can be viable as a long-term upside case. And if I'm a 4-1 in a full BBR league, maybe I want to go through and trade for Jahmyr Gibbs. However, if you're 1-4, you probably don't have the luxury of waiting on the long-term upside case of playing out. So instead, you probably want to go through and you probably just want to see if we can trade away Jahmyr Gibbs. It's nice having Fields here so we get the production right now. But if we can send like Jahmyr Gibbs and Anthony Richardson, these long-term upside cases that aren't giving anything at the moment, and go get a running back that we can be excited about for the starting lineup right now, or a flex that we'd be excited about for the starting lineup right now, that could be something we look at doing. BetClip says, happy birthday, Packers, -1.5. Should I take it? If you were looking at game spreads like that, like -1.5, +1.5 for like a game, just know it is a straight coin flip, 50-50. Nobody is ever going to be able to come out and tell you, oh yeah, Packers -1.5 is a good bet. If it is just a straight spread for an NFL game, those things are priced more accurately than almost anything else in the world. If like you're looking at, say, sportsbooks putting out Packers -1.5 points for the game tonight, then that is the appropriate line. That is where they should be being. It's probably about a 50% chance that they hit over or under. So, honestly, I think it is going to be up to you, my friends. And, I mean, only do it if you want to have some fun, right? That's the main thing. Only Fantasy Card says, I have Andrews and Laporta. Should we package Andrews for a wide receiver 1? I may actually package Laporta for a wide receiver 1. I'd rather have Andrews over Laporta rest of season. I see a lot of other people saying the opposite. I see a lot of other people saying they'd rather have Laporta. I think Laporta's crushing, right? I mean, he's very good. But at the same time, this week it was more so a function of not having him on St. Brown. Once St. Brown was ruled out, I've ranked Laporta over Andrews as well. But A. Maggie says 10-team league where we have Hurts, Barkley, Mixon, Brees, Robinson, Moss, Diggs, Higgins, Watson. Guy needs a running back. He has A.J. Brown and Travis Kelce. Which trade should we offer for either? If you could send Saquon Barkley for either A.J. Brown or Travis Kelce, that'd probably be something that we look to do. Just because if we look at Saquon Barkley, he's kind of going to be falling into that Breece Hall mold, right? Where you're a super talented running back. You can break off long plays. You can be good in bad matchups. But if your offense is that bad, even with Barkley comes back, like I'm expecting Barkley to come back this week, and I rank Barkley as a mid RB2. You know? It's hard to come out here and say that Barkley still belongs in that range. So if you can sell Barkley for either guy, I think that makes sense. Duran says CMC for Tyreek and JT. Very, very fair deal. If you wanted to go take take Tyreek Hill and JT. This is one of like the very few trades that you actually would trade away Christian McCaffrey. JJ Bell says 12-team PPR. We have Lawrence, Ridley, Puka, DK, Godwin, Watson. Running back, we have Walker, Pierce. Tight end, we have Kelsey. Should we trade Lawrence, Ridley, Kelsey for Allen, Andrews, Swift? Kelsey to Andrews, clear downgrade. Lawrence to Allen, clear upgrade. Ridley to Swift, kind of up to you. I think it's a fair deal. I think you can go either way. Typically, I will say I want to be keeping Travis Kelsey. What I find the majority of times that people trade Kelsey, say, for Mark Andrews in a small piece, they're typically not getting enough in that if you are looking at Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey, they are in two completely different tiers. Now, Anthony says, traded Ridley Mixon for Pollard and Olave. Ridley to Olave, up to you, same tier. Mixon to Pollard, definitely would rather have Pollard. Great deal, and thank you for saying happy birthday, my man. Jamie says, 12-team PPR. Quarterback, we have Watson, Stafford. Running backs, we have Pollard, Barkley, Brees, James Cook. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Amari, Watson, Deontay. Tight ends, basically the waiver wire. What should we do? We are 3-2. I think now we have this kind of running back depth where if you could go through and send like Tony Pollard or Saquon Barkley or Brees Hall for a tight end like Travis Kelsey, I think that make a lot of sense. Ultimately, I think you're in a pretty good spot. I think you have a pretty good team. You're 3-2. You stayed alive, and this is a team that had Cooper Kupp on the IR. It's a team that had the Christian Watson injury. You had the Deontay Johnson injury. You had the Saquon Barkley injury. You had Brees Hall starting off slow. So this is a team that is set up definitely more for long-term upside than points in the lineup right now. However, despite that being the case, we are still able to go 3-2, so we're still in a good situation overall. So you don't have to do anything, but that's probably what we would look to do. Benjamin says Swift for Olave. Ooh, we have CMC, Barkley, Gibbs, Pierce for depth. Honestly, that will be up to you, my man. I don't know. Ryan says, happy birthday, Mason. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you. And technically it is tomorrow, but I appreciate it. Jack says, would you trade Ridley Gibbs for JT Higgins? Thanks. Ridley to Higgins, downgrade, especially with the injury. Gibbs to JT, such a massive upgrade. I think I'd do it. Obviously, it sucks with JT working himself in a little bit slower, with Higgins dealing with an injury and Burrow not being at 100% guaranteed right away. But still, yes, let's go ahead and let's get JT and Higgins. Saul Ball coming out says running backs are James Cook and Jahmyr Gibbs. Wide receivers are Kupp, Puka, AJ Brown, and Calvin Ridley. What should we look to do? I saw someone trade Kupp for Eckler earlier on in the stream. If you could do that, even if we could maybe, even if we had to throw a small piece in, I think that'd make a lot of sense. I'd trade like AJ Brown for Austin Eckler as well, under the assumption it's a full BBR format, because obviously even selling one of these stud wide receivers for a stud running back, we still have the wide receiver production to go along with it. Ethan says, happy early birthday, Mason. Thank you, my man. Everyone like the stream? Yes, hit that like button if you have not done so already. It's a 10-team league where we're 3-2, full PPR. We have Mahomes, Debo, Metcalf, CMC, Jacobs, Goddard, Kyron, Achane, Christian Watson, Brian Robinson, Spears, Michael Wilson, and any moves. Okay. We have a lot of running back depth with this team. If we have CMC, Jacobs, Kyron, and Devon Achane. If we could send Achane and like Debo Samuel on a 3-2 team and go get an injured wide receiver like Jefferson somehow, if that team's desperate, needs production right now, we could probably look to go ahead and make that kind of move. And if not, even if we're looking at a wide receiver a tier down from that, I still think that'd be an advantageous trade if we wanted to. A lot of this does hinge on that Devon Achane injury, though. So it is very hard to know right now. But as it stands, I mean, you have CMC and Jacobs in the starting lineup, and you have 2 running backs on the bench that people would love to go out there and grab. Now, Rex says 14-team BBR traded Achane, Russ, and Joku for Hurts and Madison before the Achane injury. Going to trade Hurts and Puka for Keenan and Lamar. Great deal. We have Burrow as well. 14-team league, trading away depth is going to be a little difficult, but I mean, Russ to Jalen Hurts, massive upgrade. Achane to Madison, downgrade, but still, I think we'd probably rather have the Hurts side. I would rather have Keenan over Puka. I'd rather have Hurts over Lamar. I think that's a fair deal, up to you, but given the fact that we have cut back and Mike Williams out, I think we can make both deals. I like it, my man. I like it. Now, Island Nick coming out saying, happy birthday, Mason. 10-team BBR. Love, Fields, Sanders, Swift, JT, Walker, Waddle, Godwin, Watson, MT, Kyle Pitts, and Travis Kelce. We're 1-4. Real quick, my man, what is this? Where are you from? This currency says JPY. Let me know where you're from, my man. And here, if you're looking at this, I think it's a very strong team, even if we have a bad record. It's understandable. Whenever we went through and we drafted Jonathan Taylor, Waddle got the concussion as well. It's been disappointing. Amon-Ra St. Brown dealt with an injury. Christian Watson dealt with an injury. It's a team that's been very unfortunate when it comes to its injuries. I'd say the one thing that we would do is if we have Kelce, if we can take Pitts and like Godwin and go send them, or Pitts and Christian Watson and send them and go get a stud wide receiver when we have Travis Kelce, I think that makes sense. I mean, Kyle Pitts is someone that I drafted a considerable amount of this year, and obviously Kyle Pitts looked pretty good, but the issue is projecting that to be the case going forward will be tough. If you look at the Jonnu Smith usage and seeing that he's being involved a little bit more as like a committee running back. Oh, Japan. That is awesome. I would love to go to Japan. And now if we do go to Japan, we have 800 yen. We're starting our way there. Starting our way there. And yes, if y'all don't know this about me, if it comes to anything outside of fantasy football, surprise, surprise, the guy that works 80 hours a week and only live streams and only thinks about fantasy football from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed is going to be an idiot and know nothing else out in the real world. Especially if you ask me pop culture things. I live in my own little bubble, and the only thing I know is fantasy football. It's what I eat, breathe, and sleep, ladies and gentlemen. Gary says, do I trade Thielen and Pollard for Adams and Sanders? Pollard to Adams in a full BBR format, very fair deal. I think you can make an argument for Adams. Thielen to Sanders, probably Thielen at this point. I think it's a very fair deal, and I think it is up to your personal preference. Honestly, not going to fault you at all for going either way. Yeet says, standard scoring, 16-team league. I can either start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, or 3 running backs and a receiver. What should we do? My running backs are JT, Walker, Kyron. Wide receiver, Addison, Nico, Ridley. Who should we sit for week 6? Phenomenal team in a 16-team format, my man. So essentially, we need to start 2 running backs minimum. Our running backs will be Kenneth Walker and Kyron Williams. And then we can start 2 wide receivers or an extra RB. I think we're most likely going to be going Calvin Ridley and Jordan Addison under the assumption it's a full BBR league. The thing is, I mean, that's assuming Justin Jefferson misses. So if Jefferson misses, those other 2 spots will be Ridley and Addison. If Jefferson plays, then at that point, if you want to pivot over to Jonathan Taylor, I would not fault you. How I'm ranking Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss this week is I probably have, say, Jonathan Taylor seeing about 60% of the backfield, Zach Moss seeing about 40%. Both running backs as top 24 guys, but neither of them as must-start players. And instead, I think you have them as like players that we want to see Jonathan Taylor produce before we put him in. We made the mistake to think he was going to be able to go out there and he was going to be able to be productive his first week back. Clearly, we were wrong. I don't think we want to make that mistake again. If you have another great option, that is. Sean says, if given the choice of a win or a loss while 3-1, would you choose to lose JSN, Charbonnet, Justin Herbert, Godwin, Christian Watson rest of season? We had Saquon Gibbs down 3 points with the running back slot open. 100%. If you're telling me, Mason, We can go pick up a running back for tonight and we can win this week, or we can hold on to these players for their long-term upside. You go drop one of these guys, you pick up a running back. You go ahead and you drop a Zach Charbonnet. You go get another running back that you'll be able to play right now. And then right after the game, then obviously we go right back to the waiver wire and pick up someone else. Okay. Captain says 3-2, 12-team at BBR format. We have Herbert, Eckler, Pierce, Lamb, Higgins, Ertz, Kirk in the flex. Then Dell, Madison, Stroud, Algier, Justice Hill, Zach Moss. Any trade possibilities? Now we're going to get Justin Herbert back from the bye. If you really wanted to see if we could send like CJ Stroud and Alexander Madison to go get an RB upgrade, I think that would be interesting. Alexander Madison has been a sell-high player for us, just given the fact that I think Cam Akers continues to go through and expands his role. And ultimately, I don't think Alexander Madison is a good enough player to be effective as a running back by committee in this offense. So yeah, if we could go through and if we could look to sell Stroud and Madison with Herbert back and go and get a better player. At the running back position, I think that makes sense. I think Justin Herbert's the tier that you don't even need a backup QB. Now, real quick, we are 3 likes away from hitting 900 likes on this stream. If you have not done so already, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat or the description. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to be getting a 100% deposit match, plus our updated rest of season fantasy football rankings, plus, ladies and gentlemen, a Jordan Love special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for the game tonight. And on top of that, you'll be getting a Justin Herbert special pick'em. The Jordan Love one is only if you're new to Underdog with code FLOCK. The Justin Herbert special pick'em for Monday night is going to be if you signed up with code FLOCK. Regardless of if that was 2 years ago, last year, yesterday, today, or tomorrow, everybody code FLOCK is going to be getting that, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure you take advantage. Now, Jadon says, since Jones out, which backup do I grab? Thank you. Oh, Jones is out. We're going to go Patrick Taylor. Yeah, you had me a little bit confused there. Dale says, try to trade Pollard. We also have Jacobs. It's too late to trade Pollard. I mean, we talked about this earlier on, but I mean, what help do I do? I mean, how do I help you if I say, hey, you know, after the Dallas Cowboys lose 10-42 on national television and everybody goes through and makes fun of how bad these guys are, let's go ahead and let's sell Tony Pollard. It's going to be hard to sell Tony Pollard today, my man. It'll be hard to sell Pollard today, to be honest with you. Now, next question coming out from, I believe, Iceberg says, 10-team PBR. Trade Mixon, Aaron Jones for Kyrie and Devonta Smith. Other running backs, we have Madison, Herbert, Warren, Spears. My league only makes you start 1 running back and 4 flex spots. Okay. So wide receiver will be a little bit more optimal here. It's a full PBR format. So I actually do go ahead and make this trade specifically in that league where you only have to start 1 RB. If it's a league where you only have to start 1 RB and it's a full PBR format, we're loaded up with flexes, I probably opt to go with the wide receivers such as Devonta Smith. Now, Victor says, what's up again, bro? Should we trade Achane, Goddard, Young is nothing, for DeAndre Swift, Henry, and Burrow? So downgrade at tight ends. We're trading Achane for Swift and Burrow. It all comes down to the Achane injury. If you're worried about Achane missing with this knee injury, I'd be completely fine with you going through and making that move, my man. Completely fine. Alex says, 8-team league, Ridley and Achane for Cooper Kupp. Probably Ridley and Achane, even in an 8-team league. Dunderbolt says, I traded Puka and Mostert for Chase. Then I traded Richardson for Burrow. I had a pretty decent week. You had a phenomenal week, my man. Now we are all in on the Burrow half. We're all in on him coming back from this injury. To 100%, that is. Oliver coming out. Thank you, my man. Says, 10-team PBR. I'm 2-3. We have Love, Stroud, Kyron, Etienne, Walker, Connor, Metcalf, CD, Flowers. We have Andrews and Laporta. What should we look to do? If we have Andrews and Laporta, the easy answer is let's go through and let's take Laporta and DK Metcalf and let's go get an elite level wide receiver, right? Let's go get one of those round one wide receiver options. I mean, we know that there are so many teams in your league that are struggling for a tight end. If we can make that play, it'd be a no-brainer. Or if you could say sell like Sam Laporta and CJ Stroud or Sam Laporta and Jordan Love and go get a Jalen Hurts level player. Go get a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen level player. Just when we have Andrews and Laporta, we want to be getting some value out of one of these tight ends through trade. Now, Games Gold coming out says 10-team double flex PPR. We have Cousins, Watson, Hall, JT Montgomery, Kupp, St. Brown, Waddle, Smith, and Laporta. Any moves? So, does suck that we get the Cousins downgrade with no Justin Jefferson. Like, will be difficult to go through and say that Cousins still has the same upside he did previously. We at least have JT back in here. When we have this kind of depth, if you wanted to go out there and take Cousins and one of these depth wide receivers and go send him for an elite level quarterback, I'm not going to fault you for it. I'm going to be a little bit less excited about the deal, however, because this is a league where you have 2 flex spots. So we probably sit on our hands, but it is a possibility for us to make that move. Now, Thune says, which players would you rank over Puka rest of season? Warren, no. Dell, no. Watson, no. Higgins, no. Jameson, no. London, no. I would rank Puka over all these guys rest of season. The player that would be closest to him would be T. Higgins, assuming that Higgins is able to get fully healthy and assuming that Joe Burrow continues to trend in the right direction. Because if that does happen, obviously T. Higgins does have a low-end wide receiver 1 ceiling. But still, I mean, if you're worried about Puka, what's the worry? Oh, Cooper Kupp's going to come in and Cooper Kupp's going to take so many targets that Puka's at best the wide receiver 2 in this offense. Well, with T. Higgins, what's the worry? Oh, Jamar Chase is in. Jamar Chase is going to take so many targets that Higgins is at best going to be the wide receiver 2 in this offense. So it's not like we can say, oh, yeah, you are worried about what we have with Puka and Kupp, so let's go trade for Higgins, you know? Because then you kind of find yourself just in the exact same boat. Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Gary says, do we trade Andrews for Kittle or Hawkinson for Montgomery? We're not going to trade Andrews for Kittle. I have way more Kittle this year because he was a lot cheaper than Andrews, but trust me, I'd still rather have Andrews. And then Hawkinson or Montgomery. Or Hawkinson or don't. Andrews for Kittle or Hawkinson. I would trade possibly Andrews for Hawkinson because we have the Jefferson injury. Can y'all please let me know in the live chat right now, who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have TJ Hawkinson or Mark Andrews? I mean, I think I'd probably go TJ Hawkinson over Mark Andrews at this point. But I do not. Okay, we got 1 vote for Hawkinson. Hawkinson, Andrews, Hawkinson. Andrews. Okay. Yeah, it looks like most people are going Hawkinson with Jefferson out. Yeah, I mean, you're just going to have so many passing attempts in this offense that they're going to be productive no matter what, right? Luke says 12-team, 7-point touchdown, 4-1 hopefully. We have Richardson, Watson, Wilson, Moore, Olave, Amari, JSN, Walker, Brian Robinson, Spears, Charbonnet, Roshan, Jeff Wilson, Kelsey. Need a rush spot for Jeff Wilson Jr. off the IR. If we are looking at who we're going to cut here, it would be very difficult to cut anybody. The guy that we would cut is someone that I want to... Actually, we're going to slide Anthony Richardson to the IR, no? Slide Anthony Richardson to the IR, move Jeff Wilson Jr. in the starting lineup, play Deshaun Watson. If you absolutely had to cut someone from this team, I'm going to probably cut Spears. If Devon Achane's going to miss time, if Devon Achane's not going to miss time, I may just cut Jeff Wilson Jr. We have a lot of depth. I like the long-term upside that we have. We have rookies down there on the bench. We have someone like JSN that can continue to expand his role and continue to get better as the season goes on. So I don't necessarily think we want to be making too many deals, but obviously a 2-for-1 deal would be ideal if we could make one, just so we didn't have to cut somebody. Now, Pierce says, Myers or Dobbs to the flex. I am going to be going with Jacoby Myers over Romeo Dobbs. We have Jacobs as my running back and need 11 points to win this week. Yeah, I'm going to go Myers over Dobbs. You kind of see the same thing on Underdog as well. Whereas if you look at the pick'em for Jacoby Myers, you have Jacoby Myers at 4.5 receptions and 15.5 receiving yards. Whereas if you look at the pick'em for what you have with Romeo Dobbs, you have Romeo Dobbs at 4 receptions and 47.5 receiving yards. So yeah, I'm going to go Myers over him. Ernesto says 10-team full BBR. We have Hurts, Gibbs, Kyron, Ford, Chase, AJ, Waddle, Ayuk, Laporta. Do you recommend any moves? I mean, obviously we need help at running back. I think we can afford it. Brandon Ayuk's our wide receiver 4 here. So if we can take Ayuk and Jerome Ford. I mean, Ford was a player that was a sell-high guy for us a couple weeks back coming off a multi-touchdown game against Tennessee. But if we can send them and go get a running back that we're excited about playing on a week-to-week basis, I think that'll make a lot of sense. Thune says, those are players I can trade with Puka. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me go reread that, my man. So what players, you want me to go through every single player I'd rank over Puka? I'm not doing that, my man. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. And if we're looking for any sell-high candidates down there in terms of the players you could package them with, honestly, I'd probably just hold on to that bench. I mean, I would rank Puka as a high-end wide receiver 2 rest of season. Like the wide receiver 13, wide receiver 14 range. Sam says 10-team at BBR format 3 and 2. We have Lawrence, Purdy, Walker, Saquon, Swift, Hubbard, Olave, Ridley, Lamb, Goddard, Addison, Myers. What moves should we make? Got the urge to blow up the team. It's a very well-balanced team. I don't know how I would blow it up. If it's a single flex format, what we could potentially do is go to the Justin Jefferson team and go, hey, man, I'll give you Saquon Barkley and Jordan Addison. Give me an elite level RB. Like if he has someone like Bijan Robinson, yo, I'll give you Jordan Addison, who's obviously going to be crushing it with no Justin Jefferson. I give you Jordan Addison and Saquon Barkley. Give me Bijan. Give me Austin Eckler. Let me get out of this horrendous New York Giants offense. That could be something that you look to do, my friend. Matt Ryan says, what should we do? We're 0-5. We have DK, Jefferson, Smith, Zay Pittman, Brees, Aaron Jones, Najee, Travis, Zach Ertz, and then quarterback, we have Patrick Mahomes. Ooh, so we have the Mahomes-Kelsey stack. If you're 0-5 and we just lost out on Justin Jefferson, if Jefferson's going to miss a couple of weeks, if you're 0-5, you're kind of in the fantasy football playoffs already. It's win or go home. So what you may end up having to do is you may have to end up selling Jefferson at a little bit of a loss, even if we're sacrificing some long-term upside to get some points into your starting lineup right now. Now, Turbid Player says got offered Eckler, Olave for Adams and James Cook. We actually, did we look at this for you earlier or did we look at this for someone else? Can everybody spam the chat? What side would you rather have? Would you rather have Eckler and Olave or Adams and James Cook? I'm operating under the assumption that we are getting Eckler back this week. I mean, Eckler, they decided not to put him on the IR. He missed weeks 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going into week 6. Eckler and Olave or Adams and James. Eckler, 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 Adams, Eckler, 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 Eckler. Okay. Yeah, looks like we can go Eckler and assume that he is back this week. Henny says 12-team full BBR 1-4. What should we do? We have Lamar, Henry, Sanders, Diggs, Pittman, Henry, Hopkins, Moss, Higgins, Stroud, Zay, and Jaleel. 1-4, we need points in right now. I mean, my general default in that case is to sell future value for short-term production. If we could potentially send off Stroud when we have Lamar. Actually, we're going to have to cover for Lamar soon, aren't we? Never mind. The thing is, we'd really like to get an upgrade over Miles Sanders at RB2, and Miles Sanders dealing with that groin injury still. And Sanders not being playable. If you could send like T. Higgins and Miles Sanders and go get any running back too that is viable, I think that could be interesting. And let me show y'all real quick, because I know we didn't talk about this out loud, but I tried highlighting for y'all. And y'all know we've been saying for like all last week, we were saying our favorite pick'em for this week on Underdog was Christian Watson for more than 40.5 receiving yards. Christian Watson is now up to 47.5 receiving yards for his Underdog pick'em. So I do not like the more than 47.5 receiving yards. I think that this is a fair line for Christian Watson, and I do not recommend that pick'em anymore. You can do it if you want. It's just not necessarily my favorite. I do like the A.J. Dillon for fewer than half a total touchdown. And I also like Josh Jacobs for fewer than 102 total yards. Those are a few of the pick'ems that I do like currently. Even if I really like Jacobs in fantasy, 102 total yards for projection is kind of crazy. And of course, if you want to check out those pick'ems over on Underdog, you can find that link in the live chat in the description. Code FLOCK, get a 100% deposit match, get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Underdog Fantasy, you're getting hooked up with a Jordan Love special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for the game tonight. And on top of that, it doesn't matter if you signed up today, tomorrow, yesterday, 2 years ago, for our birthday this week, Underdog's hooking everybody up who's used promo code FLOCK on Underdog with a Justin Herbert special pick'em. On top of that, Underdog never does two special pick'ems the same week, so please make sure you are taking advantage with promo code FLOCK in the link in the live chat. Now, Giancarlo coming out saying, 10-team PPR. We have Jalen Hurts, CMC, Montgomery, Adams, Moore, Goddard, Etienne. And then on the bench, we have Puka, White, Mitchell, Dobbs, Henry, Jameson, Stevenson. Any improvements, or are we chilling? Currently 4-1. We have a ton of depth with this team. I mean, if we wanted to, if we could potentially go out there and send like Dallas Goedert and Puka and go get maybe Travis Kelce, I think that would make so much sense on a team that also has Rashad White, Ramondre Stevenson down there on the bench. We have this viable depth. It's a 10-team league where we only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So yeah, I think overall, that's the play. To try to go get an elite level tight ends simply because we can afford it with how strong we are at running back and wide receiver. Griffin says, Kittle, Lockett for Ayuk, Addison, Moss. We have Laporta. Lockett to Addison, give me Addison. Kittle to Ayuk, give me Ayuk. If you have Laporta, good price point to sell George Kittle. Now, Greg says, got offered Mostert and Higgins for DJ Moore in a 12-team league. This really does come down to the Devon Achane news. Like, if Achane's good to go and you have Jeff Wilson Jr. coming back in, you may want to pivot over to DJ Moore. If Achane's not, or Jeff Wilson Jr.'s not, you probably got to go Higgins and Mostert. Like, I would not be the most surprised person if T. Higgins came back healthy, Joe Burrow got 100%, and then all of a sudden T. Higgins was better than DJ Moore rest of the way in fantasy. Now, Jay says, managed to convince my league mate to offer me JT and Higgins for Gibbs and Garrett Wilson. Oh, hell yes, easy accept. You can make an argument. T. Higgins, if he gets fully healthy, is going to be a better option than Garrett Wilson rest of season. And then Jonathan Taylor versus Jahmyr Gibbs. Definitely give me JT over Gibbs at this point, my man. Reed says, 10-team league, 0-4, single flex. We have Burrow, Stroud, Gibbs, Sanders, Ford, Lamb, Pickens, Kelce. Dobbs, Addison, Deontay, Javonte. What are we looking to do? Sell future production for short-term production on an 0-4 team. We have to do it. You have to take Deontay and Jahmyr Gibbs and go get a viable running back. You have to take Jordan Addison, who's going to continue to expand his role and continue to look good. Send him with George Pickens for a stud wide receiver right now. Even if you're selling the rookies at a loss, even if you are selling them lower than what their long-term value or their long-term upside is, fundamentally, it does not matter. If you are 1-4, if you are 0-5, you are still in it. I won my first fantasy football championship as a 1-4 team, but you're in it if you are going out there and making it a win now game right away. You can no longer think about long-term upside if you're 1-4. Now, Raid says 12-team full BBR. We have Burrow, Saquon, Ramondre, Chase, Amon-Ra, Kittle, Olave. And then on the bench, we have Lockett, Breida, Andrews, Zay, and Sam Howell. Any moves? If we have Kittle and Andrews, at this point, I think Kittle's going to be the sell-high guy for us. And I'm saying this as someone who was going through and claiming George Kittle was a buy-low option earlier on in the season. God, what is the deal, though, that we're looking to make? I mean, I would love to say let's send Kittle and Ramondre and let's go get a running back like Pollard. If we could, that'd be an absolute no-brainer. I don't know if anybody would be willing to trade for Ramondre, though. If we can go like Kittle, Ramondre, and go get Pollard, Kittle, Ramondre, go get ETN, maybe even go get someone like Kenneth Walker. I think that could be viable if we have Mark Andrews that we're going to be starting every single week, regardless. Okay. Let's see if we have any questions in the general chat. Rose says, I'm trying to get Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in a 10-team league. We have Keenan, Burrow, Swift, Pollard as our main assets. Who should we package as a deal? So I would rather have these skill positional players over Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. If you were going to make a deal, it's DeAndre Swift and Joe Burrow to go get Mahomes or Allen. I would rather trade someone that's a little bit further down if possible. If possible. Okay. Now let's see. See if we have any questions from a while ago. Brock says Saquon for Taylor and Laporta. I would much prefer Taylor and Laporta over Saquon Barkley, considering how bad, I repeat, how bad this Giants offense is. Does anybody have any questions about the games today? Dobbs or Dillon? With A.J. Dillon, I do like his pick'em for fewer than half a touchdown, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to go through and say you got to play Dobbs over him. Please go A.J. Dillon over Dobbs. Evan says, where does Saquon rank rest of season? I'm saying this as someone who drafted a lot of Saquon, really liked Saquon when we were getting him at a discount based off the contract issues. I think we're going to be looking at Saquon more so as a low, like a high-end RB2 in a full PPR format, though. Like a high-end RB2. Let's see. Speed says DJ Moore, so overrated. They left him open all game. You know, like DJ Moore, obviously, one of the best games that you had this week at wide receiver. Now, going forward, am I expecting that DJ Moore is a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy? Probably not. But with that being said, I mean, he just had 230 receiving yards for 280 passing yards from Justin Fields in this offense, right? So it's hard to go through and say that DJ Moore is very bad. I think that he could be an interesting sell. Like if you can sell DJ Moore for CeeDee Lamb, I'd still rather have CeeDee Lamb over DJ Moore rest of season. But I don't want to say like DJ. It was a very good matchup as well. I mean, with the Chicago Bears, obviously you had them going up against the worst defense in the NFL, and then immediately after the second worst defense in the NFL. Christian says, Mason, we need Jacobs to score more fantasy points than Adams tonight. Wishing you the best of luck. I think you're more likely to get that in a non-PPR format than a full PPR league, my man. Joey says, Kittle was in open grass all the time. It is what it is. That's kind of a big part of fantasy football, right? I mean, that's why, like, I hate to go there, but Terry McLaurin's always overrated. Like, because typically what you're going to see is you're going to see everybody flooding towards the player saying, oh my gosh, look at this highlight grab. Look at this guy that goes over the top and creates this highlight catch for ESPN. Whereas in reality, are we in a spot where that's what matters most? Or are we in a spot where you'd rather the player just go out there and generate separation, get open, and draw the target that way? And we've been live for 2.5 hours. Probably going to call the live stream about here. The game's about to kick off. You have about 10 more minutes, so please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel. We'll be live after the game tonight. And if you want that Jordan Love special pick'em, if you want that Justin Herbert special pick'em, promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, 100% a positive match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings, plus a Jordan Love special pick of more than less than half a total yard. If you're new to Underdog, and also since it's our birthday tomorrow, Underdog is hooking everybody up with a Justin Herbert special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for Monday night as well. So you're going to get 2 special pick'ems the same week. Literally never happens, and it's the best birthday present you could give me. Find that link in the live chat and in the description. Duran says Moss or Warren this week. We're going to go Moss. Warren might be RB1 rest of season. We will rank Warren over Najee in a full BBR format, but Najee and Warren are still like taking enough away from each other where no guys. Very interesting. But thank you again. I really do appreciate you. Really hope we get to see you out in the live stream after the game tonight.